All right. We on the pipe, popping like tight condoms. Let's get it.
Oh, thank you guys for tuning in another episode of You Feel Me podcast. We are live yet again, and this time we're not alone. We are with a another great podcast, another great podcaster. We want to introduce to you guys. This is Kyle from the
Big
Big
homie
Dumb
Kyle.
Podcast. Give it up for the big homie Kyle from the Big Dumb Podcast, man.
Oh, what's going on, gentlemen? I'm excited to be here. You guys are doing great things with your show. Y'all are just blowing up on YouTube, man. I can't get the traction that y'all can. I probably because of the topics I talk about. I mean, y'all get controversial, don't get me wrong, but
hell yeah.
You know what? But
algorithm likes it a little bit more than my chemtrails and flat earth stuff.
So speaking about the algorithm, I was thinking more so like I thought it would be easier for someone like you and your topics to get so many more views, man, because it's just such a big community out there. No,
I think they block you, man.
It is a big community. Like the podcast feed, like the audio does really well, but the YouTube doesn't. I mean, I put a video up on YouTube, half the time it gets taken down, just because YouTube 10 years ago was the Wild West. You could do anything. I mean, that's when you learn about all these crazy theories, and then you'd click on one video and it actually take you to something like pretty close to it, and you kind of don't go down these rabbit holes. But now, ever since COVID happened, they don't, and Donald Trump, frankly, they don't want any of that stuff floating around. It's misinformation. Even something silly as like flat Earth, like they hit that shit hard, and it makes me wonder why, if it's so silly and no one believes it, then why are you guys shutting it down? People talking about it. So
I think I have an answer to that. I don't know if you want to get into it. I think we have a slight answer to that one. Yeah.
I would tell you that a lot of our, if you can see here, you see where it says YFM podcast banned, and then it got like the little X there. That's because that shit keeps happening. And my T-shirt, if you hold on, let me stand up for 2 seconds. See my T-shirt where it says banned?
Yeah, dude.
Because big homie Wayne. Always putting crazy stuff on Twitter, and we getting in trouble. And on YouTube we get banned a ton. So I have to pull videos down, put filters on them, different things of that nature just to get things up. So it's hard out there.
Any other alternative platforms?
Oh yeah.
So let me answer
Rumble.
that. Let me answer that one, Felix, because we got into an argument about this. So there's a place called Rumble, I believe, right? And I didn't know anything about it until Phyllis sent me an email when he usually sends you the videos after he edits them, and I'm like, "What is Rumble?" And I jumped online, and if you know me, I hate Trump. I hate everything that has to do with him, and
it has become kind of a haven for the right wing people. Rumble is.
That's not how it started.
Yeah, it didn't start that way, but when you start kicking people off of YouTube and Twitter, they're gonna go somewhere. You know what I mean? And that's Rumble was like, "Hey, we'll take you." So Rumble's cool, but it does have a lot of stuff that even I'm like, "Whoa, that's too much." So, but there's another platform. I'll tell you guys about it after the show that I think y'all would fit into well. It's growing, it's new. We could talk about that later, but I'm just saying you got to start even. Y'all's podcast, which is maybe a little more mainstream, and when it comes to the topics y'all talk about, controversial as they may be, but they're still in the mainstream. Even y'all got to be careful, because they might come after me, but then one day they're going to come after you. You know what I mean? And nothing but CNN and MSNBC and like their official sources, on any given topic. So, it's like that old trope that they said in and I'm not comparing myself to these victims or anything, but like in the Holocaust, one guy was like, "Oh, they went after this group and no one did anything, but they weren't coming after me." And then, "Oh, they went after this group and no one did anything, but because they weren't coming after me." And then by the time they came for me, there was nobody to stand up for me. I was just the only one left. So just got to be careful, man. I mean, you guys do pretty well navigating it, better than I do. I've just stopped putting stuff on YouTube for the majority of stuff, because if I just say the V word or the C word, you know what I mean? It's just nicked right off the show, off the platform. So
what's the V word
mostly? Yeah.
Huh?
Go ahead, Wayne.
I was asking, where do you post mostly? Because I do see like on YouTube, you it seems like you post like once a month or once every 2 weeks, or
it just
never
depends.
too consistently. Yeah,
it just depends. I mean, I record all my video and stuff. One, I'm just terrible at editing video content. I'm just so bad at it. It takes me forever, so I'm a little bit behind. And right now, besides YouTube, I'm not really posting videos anywhere. I'm working on getting on this other platform that I was going to tell you guys about. It's called Rockfin. It's a new kind of subscription platform you can get on, and it's growing. Like Eddie Bravo just got on there.
Oh wow.
A bunch of conspiracy people go on there, but there's also like sports and crypto dudes. I mean, it's kind of like alternative media, but I think y'all would fit in great there. I think people would love you guys over there, and you get paid a little bit better, I think, than you do on YouTube. But I'm not on there yet, so I'm not going to shill for them yet. But
right.
There's censorship. It's pretty much censorship free. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we can really say whatever we want to say.
Scary, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be some people out there saying some stuff, but still, we can just kind of say what we want. So, all right, Kyle.
Hold on, real quick. Hold on.
What
you said the V word and the C word. What are those words?
One is a medical treatment for the C word. So if you can figure those out.
I saw.
Yeah, if you don't get the V for the C, you can't work your job, you know what I mean, things like that. So those were, I mean, just because that's a topic that I'm really big on, and I think I'm sure a lot of your listeners are kind of maybe in the same boat, because a lot more people are kind of against it than you'd think. So, but we don't have to get into that, but let's move on. But those are the words. I just can't say those words, or it'll get taken off, and I hate that, dude. I hate that we can't say certain words and we have to self-censor. I just hate that.
Yeah, it's a lot of different topics, and I think that's because of all the information that was shared on like Facebook and Twitter and shit like that during those time periods, right? And we had so much going on. They just said, you know what, blanket, shut it all down. And that's not the best way to do censorship, because when you shut everyone down and every opinion and every little word, not understanding the context around it, you come up with a whole bunch of motherfuckers that get mad, and then they start to get angry, and then they start to January 6th some shit. And that's what happens when you censor people. Even the lunatics and the crazies of us, because we all are a little bit, depending on the topic, need to have a safe space. Right. And that's important to America in general.
Well, and it's, I'm sure like you guys and me, we have our disagreements on things, but I'm not going to try to get you guys shut down just because I don't like what you're saying. Like, no, that free speech is like, let him have it. Like, you don't have to, I can choose not to listen to you, or, audience can tune me out. They can tune you guys out if they don't agree, but you shouldn't have to, if you have to shut someone down or, shut their mouths to feel like you've won, then your ideas probably won't hold up to theirs. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes. You got to just have bad ideas are defeated with better ideas. You know what I mean? And that's what free speech is all about. And so, I mean, it gets a little crazy, and you're right. Some people, if you shut them down enough, they're going to get a little pissed off and maybe do some stupid shit.
They're going to wear some horns. They're going to go into a big building. You know what I mean?
Well, then, let me tell you this, Kyle. Let me say this to you. I can say you're very mature in what you believe in, though. You're not like everybody else. And, because I see you. I watched an episode the other day. You had on your Let's Go Brandon shirt. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But then it didn't bother me like it usually does. When I usually see it, it didn't really bother me because I've seen your podcast before. I've seen you speak before. And I don't know, you're just very mature in how you deliver what you believe. So I think there's something to that as well.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit, because I'm not an insurrectionist. You know what I mean? I just don't like Joe Biden. I think that's okay. I wasn't. I liked Trump, just not necessarily because of who he was as a person, but my paychecks were bigger when Trump was in office. My taxes were a little less. Things like that, and I just liked that he was saying shit that a lot of people were thinking, like telling Hillary Clinton she'd be in jail. You know what I mean? And then all the stuff that's happened since then. All the people around her are going to jail. And so. And Joe Biden. So if you want to get into conspiracy, right? I don't think the Joe Biden that's president right now is the Joe Biden that left the Obama administration in 2016. I think it's a different man. I think it's a clone or a CIA, skin mask or something. I don't think that's the same guy.
All right, so
let's get started. Let's go ahead.
Hold on. Let me go to the comments quick. So Marty's here. He said, "Yo," he said, "So I can talk my shit." And I think he was talking about Kyle. He was talking about that other platform. So yeah, we got to talk about that because Marty likes to say very crazy things.
Oh,
we all know Marty. So he said, "Just don't like the motherfuckers." I think he was agreeing with you, like fuck all them politicians.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And then he said, "I'm crying." So I don't know what that means, but Marty, go ahead and provide some more details. So all right.
So let me ask him. Let me ask Kyle. I wanted to start off with asking Kyle, what got you interested and fascinated in conspiracies? It's kind of a crazy question. What was your first conspiracy belief? Or
it's not a crazy question. I ask my guests that all the time, because it's kind of good to figure out what was the trigger point for a lot of people. And well, one, I just grew up, my dad was a crazy drug addict, meth head. And, he'd always be like, there's aliens out there, Kyle. Like there's, shit, he was always just kind of like, things aren't always exactly what you think they are. And and so I was like, okay, I was always like kind of into aliens. Like that's fun, but then it was actually, I was always kind of into it. But the real like turning point for me was, I was in college in 2016, election night, 2016 in college. I was at a liberal arts school. I was going to school for acting. So I had a bunch of women and gay guys and everybody around me who were my friends, like really good friends. I loved them all. And once it became clear that Donald Trump was going to win, they all started crying, like as if they were going to be lined up and shot by a firing squad the next day. And I just laughed, like not at their crying, but laughed at that Donald Trump.
I laughed at their tears.
No, I was laughing at the fact that Donald Trump became president. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like nothing makes sense. But I was like, but nothing, you waited. Nothing really changed in my life except all these people just thought they were being attacked all the time. And I was like, okay, something's not right here because the media told me that he was the next Hitler, right? And that Hillary was going to win. So somebody was lying. You know what I mean? They said 99% chance she's going to win.
That's what I heard.
Someone
was supposed to win that election. Yeah.
So someone was lying.
Absolutely.
Either they lied and Trump stole the election with fraud, or they lied and didn't really, just describe who Donald Trump was or how people felt about him. So that was the first thing for me. I was like, okay, something's not right here. If they can lie to me about this, what else are they lying to me about? And then I went back. I looked at 9/11. I looked at JFK. I looked at all these things that maybe I was too young for, or not around for. And I looked at, okay, what was the media and the official narrative around all these things, and what has come out since? So once you realize, and this goes for anything, I'm sure you guys have experiences in your own life. Once you realize, like, if somebody lies to you once, are you going to ever really trust them again?
Not as much. Yeah.
Not as much, right? Yeah, but what if they lie to you 100% of the time on everything that happens in the world or in their life or in your life? What if they're just constantly gaslighting you, lying to you, trying to manipulate you? Would you be friends with them? Would you want to hang out with them? I wouldn't, And so for me, that was it. Once I realized I was being lied to, I had to take a step back, and now I don't believe anything I'm told. If it comes from the government, I just don't trust that. I don't trust the government. What have they ever done for me? You know what I mean? What have they ever done for you? What have they ever done for anybody, that was truly trying to better people's lives? I don't think Trump, Bush, Obama, anybody, they just were trying to make money, bombing little brown kids in the Middle East. You know what I mean? And it's like, Iraq too. That's another one. We invaded the wrong country.
Yep.
No one
that did happen.
on those planes that day was from Iraq or Afghanistan. They were all Saudi nationals that on our payroll. I mean, we invaded the wrong country. And why were we there? Oil and heroin. I mean, that's really what it came down to. So
you say heroin. I got to look up the heroin, but I definitely believe in or agree with oil.
Oh, well, dude, no, the Iraq and Afghanistan is like the largest exporter of poppies and opium in the world.
Yeah.
And I've had guys on my show who were veterans in Afghanistan, and they said, yeah, they would burn the pop fields, but then, private contractors would guard the poppy fields from being bombed and burned because that shit was getting exported out by CIA helicopters funding their black projects in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, think about the opioid crisis. You know what I mean? Hundreds of thousands of Americans died from doctors pushing these drugs. I mean, those are the real drug dealers. You know what I mean? Not your pot guy down the street, So, okay. So that was, I'm just going to keep going unless y'all stop me. Okay.
No. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to go ahead and really understand how you got into, more deeper into conspiracies and learning more about it, because we're like that when it comes to like our topics for our podcast, hip hop. But I've done a lot of deep dives. I know Wayne has done what you call them Wikipedia dives, and you just reading for like 7 hours and just like reading whoever updated
link,
it.
And you start one story and you click the little hyperlink in the story, and you're like,
that's how they get me.
You got 10 tabs open. You're like, what the fuck was I even looking at 1st?
And then you get that tab at the top that be like, you should donate because we're doing this shit by ourselves, you punk motherfucker. So give us $5. And nobody ever give them $5. But before I go ahead, let's go to the comments really quick. So
okay, go ahead.
All right. Here we go. My mouse died. Let me go ahead. Here we go. So Dante, what's up, man? He said economics, and I think that's when he was talking about. He was talking about like Trump and all of that stuff, and who's getting paid more and things of that nature. And Marty said he was laughing at you when you said you didn't like Biden because you said it so matter of factly. And the Dante said boom when he was talking about destroying shit, and what we did over there and blowing up poppy seeds and everything, which I definitely believe that happened matter of factly. And then Marty says he like you, so that's nice.
Oh, well, thanks, Marty. I appreciate that. Well, and then Dante did say if you were paid less when Biden became president, you might want to look at your employer. I didn't mean like my actual pay. I just meant like the taxes and things and like, gas prices, grocery store, just in general, I had more money. Right. And I've actually, I don't even smoke weed anymore. So I'm saving money that way too. And I'm still down.
Still spending.
Still down. Weed was cheap under Trump. Now I can't even afford it.
That's the same with me, Kyle. I've stopped smoking, man.
The weed. I want to say like strong, 2 weeks. Man.
Yeah, too strong. I'm like 2 months clean, man. I'm not doing it. And I feel so much better. I haven't replaced it with anything. I'm wanting to exercise more. I've just been too damn lazy. But yeah, I've stopped doing it for a while too, man. But I've needed to stop doing it anyway. But I want to go back and to ask you more about conspiracies.
Sure, yeah.
Is it? It seems like the people who do read up on it, who study it, is it a lifestyle? Has it become like a lifestyle for you? Or is it just like a hobby or,
Well, it's the podcast has certainly kind of helped it become, this is like a hobby for me. Like I can't talk to everybody about these things, like in my normal life, like at work or my fiance, even like she like, she just is like, yeah, you're whatever. She's not like hindering me, but she doesn't like get into the stuff that I do. So the podcast is great because it's an outlet for me. I can talk to people who kind of are into these topics as well. But as far as a lifestyle, I think it just depends on how deep you want to go. You know what I mean? Like, I know some people in the podcast community who straight up said, fuck it, I'm out. And they went and bought some land, got some chickens, and, they garden and they just homestead. Yeah. I mean, because really the biggest thing is like, we are trying to get out of these systems that are used to control us, right? So you have the financial systems that are used to control you. You have to get a job, you have to go to work, and you have to spend time away from your family to provide for yourself and your family. And that's just, to me, that's an ancient system of depriving you from your creativity, your loved ones, and your full potential, because you're probably doing a job you don't necessarily like that much. And you're probably not getting to spend as much time with your friends and family as you want. And you're probably not financially fulfilled as you want to be, right? I bet most people listening to this show feel that same way. So it's, and then so then you got the banking systems, you got the medical systems, right? All the
food, right back, fellas.
All the food, yeah, you're good. All the food we eat is no good for us. GMOs, poisonous food, the water's no good, the air's no good. So it's just like getting out of these systems that are used to kill us enslave us financially, and poison us with whether it's our minds. Like, you have your phone. Basically, it's just trying to get back to like what it means to be a human, right?
Right.
Because I loved, and I always say this, I love technology. I really do. Like, we couldn't be having this amazing conversation without these advances in technology. But as we talked about earlier, these tech platforms, these tech giants, they just want to use it to steal our data, control us, manipulate us, sell us shit. I mean, they just want our money. You know what I mean? And they don't really care about us. And I don't think the government really cares about us. I don't think that your employer probably doesn't really care about you. The banks don't care about you. So it's just about finding out. It's not necessarily a lifestyle, but it kind of like, once you learn one thing, I was lied to about this. Oh, the food's no good. Oh, the money system. Oh my God, it's designed to keep us down. So what can I do to break out of these systems to better improve myself and my relationship with the world, with God, with my friends, whoever it is? And I think that's really what it comes down to. So it just depends on how you want to go. I mean, like, for example, Donald Trump got a lot of people off of mainstream media, which, whether it's Fox or CNN, they both have agendas, and they both want you to behave a certain way. Like, my mom watches Fox News and she gets all emotional about things. Yeah. And then my friends watch CNN and they get all emotional about other things. And it's like, guy, why don't you just turn it off? You know what I mean? So,
well, let me say two things. Hold
on, Wayne.
Go ahead.
It seems as if you're kind of like a libertarian a little bit.
Yeah, but I think I'm just a free man. I'm not, but that's my mindset. I want to be.
You want to be. And as you know about the libertarian, how being a libertarian, that's kind of how we are, is like that complete separation. Not complete, but to an extent.
It's like one foot in the door of these systems and the rest out. Right.
Yeah. Like, if I want to pay taxes, I pay it because I want to. But this is one point that you said that I think I wanted to go ahead and touch back on, was when you talked about how the government hasn't really done anything to help us. And as African Americans, right, as minority people, I can always say that when it comes to the government, they don't help us as much as they should. And a lot of the programs are racist, right? Like, Section 8, welfare, those are based off of kind of racist principles. The people that started them were racist. 100%. But when it comes to like, a lot of other things, they have helped us remove some of those steps, because we had to start so far from the bottom to be able to climb up. They had to be certain steps that were removed from us. So like helping with like the student loans, I forgot what the fuck that program is, but that really helped. Yeah, that helped like, underprivileged people, because my sisters could not go to school. They had to drop out, both of them, of college, because they couldn't afford it. So there's been certain programs that's helped us out, and a lot of that has been pushed by that. But we all know that those things that has been done has just been to cater to our vote.
That's all that. Yeah.
So it's like you doing those deals, you playing poker with the devil, man, constantly.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think they've, as much as you like, yes, there are certain programs and government
not
steps
a lot.
There are some that really do help certain people, right? For example, I had to get government loans to go to school. My parents made just enough money, like, $1,000 over the threshold, so where I actually had to pay a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, I was close to not having to pay anything, but just because they made just enough, I was like, I kind of got. I mean, I'm $50,000 in debt with a fucking useless degree. So
I'm 200.
Yeah,
don't worry
exactly.
about it.
So,
you good.
So as much as these programs have helped, I think overall, like you said, they're just trying to cater to your vote. Do you feel like they've done enough for you? I don't.
No,
I don't think they've done enough for you.
Never.
Don't give them your fucking vote.
No,
until they give you what you want. That's all I'm
thing
saying.
This is the problem when you don't. So like, if we don't vote, right? Like, let's say me and Wayne don't vote, you don't vote. So, and then we convince a ton of people not to vote. There's a possibility that you might get someone in office that really, really, like, for example, DeSantis in Florida. Do you like the Santos Kyle? Is that
I think he's really based. I think he.
Word.
I think
that
he's
is
super
very
based.
true. Yeah, he's like
I like his. I wish
conservative.
it was a little more Florida lifestyle. You know, like I wish he would drop the suits and maybe throw on like a Hawaiian shirt. You know, just be a little
Just
more
to
of the
chill out.
people.
Yeah,
I think he needs to chill out. But I do feel like he's kind of. He's gearing up to run for president.
Oh yeah,
maybe
he's
not
definitely
this.
running.
Maybe not this term because he's still young, but the next term, perhaps the next 4 years. But
Yeah.
I like some of his stuff. But even here in Texas, like fucking our Hot Wheels governor, he's not that great either. You know what I mean? Yeah, he'll never stand up for us. You know.
Oh, Wayne, you don't know this, but
yeah. Who's the Hot Wheels governor? Yeah,
It's
the governor
Abbott.
Go
He's
ahead.
in a wheelchair.
Yeah, Abbott.
He's disabled from the waist
you son
down.
of a bitch.
That's how he got on. Kind of was like because when I moved here
felt
like
sorry
2
for
years
him?
ago. Yeah, because he got drunken car accident.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
he got in a car accident and got disabled and sued all kinds of people, and that's how he made his money. And then when he got in office, he made it illegal to do that, where like you can't sue everybody after.
So he wanted to be the one and only.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it. He got his bread and he said, "Fuck him."
You know, I don't.
So,
I kind of like some of the things DeSantis does. Like he's going after Disney, which I think is great because those Disney is just they're terrible. But the abortion thing, I can't really get into that. I don't agree with abortion, but it's not my say. It's not my call. So I don't think the government should be involved in any kind of decisions like that at all. It shouldn't be
like weed, none of that. That's
Yeah.
none of your fucking business. Stay
So-
out the way.
and all these politicians, I don't trust any of them, dude. You know how
Me neither.
so there's this theory that like 1% of the population is are psychopaths, 3% of the population are sociopaths, and like another X% are like, crazy. So if you take the population of the world, 8 billion, 7 billion people, there's going to be like 700,000 or 700 million fucking crazy people out there. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
At
the
least.
number. Basically, there's
Yeah.
millions and millions of people who are psychopaths, and almost all of them are politicians or murderers,
Lawyers
whatever.
or some other shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to get to those positions. You have to be, you have to have something. I mean, even CEOs of companies, like they're ruthless. You know what I mean? They might have good business practices and stuff, but they fucked a lot of people along the way. And so have all these politicians, dude. I mean, I don't trust any of them. And all they do this to white people too. They cater to emotionally manipulate you, and they scare you into thinking that
fear mongering.
Mexicans are going to take over and steal your jobs when that's not the case at all. And then they give you your vote, and then they don't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Because these corporations love the cheap labor. They actually encourage illegal immigration so they can come in, work them for a couple months, send them back to Mexico, not pay them at all. I mean, this shit happens. It's happened for decades. So I don't trust any politicians, man. I don't trust any of them.
Let me hold off. Let me actually hold on 1 second there. James, if you wouldn't mind reading off a few of the we have in chat. After that, we're gonna have a couple other questions. We're to actually start getting into the conspiracies and which ones we believe in.
I really want to talk about the lizards.
Okay. That's the first one I'm gonna talk about.
Where is
that's
my
the first
book
thing
at? Because I have one of his books. Who was it that wrote that book?
David
Icke.
Icke?
David Icke. Yeah, I have like 4 of his. I had like 3 of his books actually. So
Yeah, David Icke's cool. Well,
yeah.
let's read some chats and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, we go and get into Ike's. So, sorry y'all. Marty said that's why Wayne looks stressed. I think he's talking about not smoking no weed.
Not smoking weed, yeah.
So Marty said no weed because I'm pretty sure Marty don't smoke at all. But yeah, man. All right. So Dante, he said that's all economics and had less to do with who was president. The economy was doing better during Trump initial years, and ironically, he had nothing to do with it. And economists, I could show you. As an economist, I could show you is what he was saying.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the president necessarily affects the economy that much. You know, the economy is really kind of based on long-term. It's like long-term effects, right?
Right.
And also, I mean, the real economists, like the movers and shakers, they look at the stars. Like they read astrology maps to determine what investments they're going to make and stuff. So it's not just whoever's president, because I really don't think that necessarily matters. But as far as like tax stuff and foreign policy, they definitely have some control on that. So keep going.
Yeah, that's definitely. He said also the interview with Trump about David Duke lost me to his campaign. Yeah, I was originally intrigued to see him in office. And see, let me stop right there for a quick second. I'd agree with that because when he was like, I don't know who David Duke is, everybody was just like, yeah, you know, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You gave him some
Everybody knows
bread.
who David Duke is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Joe Biden was the keynote speaker at David Duke's funeral. So
What?
yeah,
For real?
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that in a second. You go,
Maybe
Kyle,
not his funeral,
find that.
they spoke
Can
at an
you-
event together.
Please find that if you can find that, because I think what happened, honestly, and I really do believe this. I think David Duke didn't come out as the leader of the Klan until like when he was into his presidential run, deeper into it. Like everyone knew he was in the Klan, but it got public that he was in the Klan. Because if you watch Park and Rec, there's a joke about the what was that black lady that was on Park and Rec? She had gave money to David Duke's campaign. So a lot of black people actually like supported him because he just will call your phone and be like, hey, I'm talking about taxes and you know all these rights and stuff like that. But you'll come to find out he was the Grand Marshal of the Klan. All right, so let me keep going. Dante said, and the Biden comment about not being black lost me for his campaign. That really messed up. A lot of people was just like,
and what was
I feel like a
crazy
black
about
person
that,
told him to say that. That's just our opinion. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's crazy about that? I think they told him to say that so that he can, I guess, get more black people on his side, because that's something that we say. Let's because we use the if you don't do this, then you're not black. We say that all the time about anything. Like if you don't use this type of toilet paper, then you must not be black. You know, it could be something small and trivial. You know, and then and what the crazy part about it is, you know, I think it worked. I think it worked, man.
Yeah, I think that comment was just like, yeah, he got a point. All right, so Marty agreed and said, "Word, Dante," and then he said, "Hot Wheels, y'all going to hell with me." So, yeah, sorry, Marty, we probably gonna be there playing craps or whatever. And Dante said, "Facts. Cheap labor is highly deeply rooted into big business. That's why so many campaigns use outsourcing." I totally agree with that. Or companies use outsourcing, and that goes all the way from big corporations to small.
Oh yeah,
because that's their biggest thing. Is labor is your highest, like, you know,
expense.
that's your highest expense, man. So I'm sorry, if I own the big company, I'm looking for the cheapest labor possible that can give me also the highest quality, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, oftentimes though you do sacrifice quality for
cheaper labor.
Quality matters.
It's very rare.
Yeah, just you have to find with the bare minimum that someone will be able to accept. So I was wrong though about David Duke. It was actually Robert Byrd who was he was a high-ranking member of the Ku Klux Klan and a Democratic senator in West Virginia. And when he died, Joe Biden eulogized him at the funeral. But he was a high-level Ku Klux Klan member. I'm not sure about David Duke though, but I know that
it still matters.
Some Klan members did endorse Joe Biden for the 2020 election. Actually, in searching for that, I saw some of that, but I'm not super read into all that, so I'm not gonna go super deep into that. But I just know they're all racist.
if you had that there, I was gonna say, look, you about to change the world. We about to put that out because I'm promoting that.
Look here, y'all.
Instagram.
Look here. Let's get into these conspiracies. Let's get into these conspiracies, man. There's a lot I want to know about and a lot I want to learn about. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot off some questions. First, I remember I listened to a few of your episodes, and you said one time you were speaking to someone, and you said that you went out somewhere. We were speaking about it before. You said it was the DMV, and you said, you know, like as a matter of fact, you just communicating with this person, you knew that they were a lizard person, like it's like without a doubt. You said, you know, and I wanted to ask you, like, how did you know? You know what gives off? Is it a vibe? Is it an energy? Is it something they do or say, or something you can see? Like,
so
how do you know it was a lizard person? Yeah.
Have you ever? So that wasn't my story. That I had a guest on the show, and that was his story. But I can relate to that. So let me ask you this: have you ever been in a situation where, you know, let's say you're at the checkout counter, or you're at the DMV, or you're somewhere where you don't necessarily want to be, And the people, you look at someone and it's just dead eyes, you know what I mean? Just like there's no life behind those eyes, you know. That's can kind of be a factor in that. And when you say lizard people, we were talking about this before the show, that I don't necessarily mean that they shapeshift into lizards at night and they like sleep in the, you know, they're cold-blooded or whatever like that. They don't have like a tail tucked up their ass or anything like that. That's not what I mean. But some people like David Icke truly does believe that there are shape-shifting lizard people out there in the world. And he's got some facts and evidence to back up his claims. I mean, personally, I'm not into that.
He thinks that Queen Elizabeth is one, and Obama as well.
Yeah, and so that's to that
of that.
Yeah, and so I think what it goes, the main point is not necessarily to call them lizard, like that they're actually lizards, but that they are part of these royal bloodlines that have ruled the world thousands of years. I mean, there's the Chinese royal, the dragon line, the British royal line, the German royal line, the Austro-Hungarian royal line, the Italian royal line. I mean, like the Medicis. You got the British royal line. All these royal families. I think there's 13. They're called the 13 families, and they have kind of ruled over things for as long as history has been written, right? And so that's kind of what that means, is like these people they think they're better than us. Their bloodline, they really care about the bloodline. That's why the the royal family in Britain got so pissed when Harry married Meghan Markle, because she was not of that bloodline, and she thought she was going to taint the bloodline, because they really do believe that like the blood is the most important thing. And you watch some of these old, not these TV shows, not the old TV shows, but these shows about, you know, medieval times, and like, you know, it's all about the king and the succession and stuff, because the blood was so important to these people that and I don't know, I think it's just their religion, their occultic natures. So, and part of that, I think David Icke goes into it, that these people are actually descendants of the Anunnaki, which was this ancient alien race that kind of enslaved Earth thousands of years, you know, millions of years ago. Or it's the Nephilim, actually, from the Bible, you know, the fallen angels that bred with the humans. You know, they banged all our chicks, you know, and
they
created these monsters in these tainted bloodlines. And that's part of where it comes from too. And then there's also the theory that, you know, the Holy Grail of Christ is actually Jesus's bloodline. Like, people say that Jesus had children, he had descendants, and there's all of that as well. And no one can find that bloodline necessarily. So that's what I mean. But there are cold-blooded people out there. There's these elites that are, I call them the parasite class, because they feed off of free living, loving humans like us. You know, they feed off of our emotions and our energy and our money and our livelihoods. And that's what we mean that's what I mean by lizard people. Just like people who, and at the DMV, you know, they don't care. They're there to make your life hell. You know, they don't want to be there. They work for the government, and they probably get paid $10 an hour to fucking give you the runaround as much as they can, because they don't
possible.
So,
so James, what do you have anything else to say about the lizard people? Have you come in contact with them, or?
I wouldn't say I've come in contact with lizard people. I wouldn't say that, but have I come in contact with people that are elitists, Karens, people that are fucking just, you know, don't give a fuck about you or whatever I got going on, people that walk across the street when I'm walking down the street, you know, and I'm not no big imposing dude at all. But, you know, because of my hair, because of my skin, people look at me like that. Could that definitely be that? Yes. But I wanted to speak about a point that you made or was stating, and it kind of, I don't know if you ever watched Spirit Science before, Kyle.
No, I don't know what that is.
Spirit Science was this it is a YouTube page where they actually talk about the book of the sacred scrolls and like the sacred triangle and like sacred geometry, excuse me. That's what they were speaking of.
Yeah,
right. And
deep, man.
Yeah, and the story of sacred geometry is that there was two classes of people here. So when we have like Pangea, right? There were people that came from Mars, and these people that came from Mars or from another planet, they were called the red people. And the people here were like the blue people, whatever the fuck. And when the red people came to Mars, their thought process was totally different than the people that was here. People that was here was about life, living off the earth, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
But the red people was thinking about capitalism, building empires, taking over, dominating other people. And they had a great war, and the red people won, and the blue people got moved to all these different nations. So they all went to these different nations, and they blew up like Pangea, basically, right?
Mhm.
And that's why like Pangea separated and all this stuff. But basically what they did was that when they moved to different nations, that was like Egypt, that was Mesopotamia, that was like the Aztecs and like all of those different things. And that's the reason why those primitive cultures have all of that shared information, even though they never contact each other.
Yeah, the architecture is very similar. So that story kind of goes into that's very similar to the Anunnaki story.
That's basically what it is.
If you look into like the there's the book of Enoch was a biblical book, and it was taken out of the Bible because it talked about Enki and Lil and all these Anunnaki characters and kind of the why things are the way they are. But also you can look into Atlantis, and Atlantis was it was a culture of the whole world, right? And then it kind of split off once Atlantis fell. That's why all these cultures had all these similar architecture, similar kind of technologies and things. And then if you ask Egyptians or you ask Aztecs or whatever, hey, how'd y'all build these things? They said, we didn't. They were already here. They were already here. So I think humans or whatever we are is much older than we're being told, and actually something you guys should look into. I can't get it. It's a whole episode on its own. It's called Tartaria. You guys should look into that. It's the Tartarian Empire. Some information. It's basically, it was a lost empire that was around up maybe only 200 years ago, and it was the largest empire in the world. It expanded into North America, South America, Russia, Europe, Africa. It was everywhere, and it's been erased from the history books. So that's something to look into. Maybe we can do an episode on it, or I can send you guys some stuff on it. But that's fast. It's a new thing because I think Russia, Putin in like 2014 released some old maps that like were kind of hidden from the world during like the Iron Curtain in the Cold War, and the maps were of Tartaria. Antarctica had forests and green and flowing water and very strange stuff. And I think that theory can explain a lot of this crazy stuff.
And that's the reason you gotta check out Spirit Science, man, on YouTube.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
No. Yeah, they have a whole documentary, like a 3-hour documentary about all this stuff, and they drop videos about how like the fourth dimension.
I can send you guys some. There's a few 8-hour documentaries on YouTube. Dude, you gotta sit down. Wayne, you might want to start smoking weed to get through that. Because it just goes through everything, dude. It's crazy. So what else you got, guys? Come on, or do you want to read some comments? It's up to you.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let me go ahead.
Go ahead with the comments. Yeah.
Because Edgy said, "Oh shit, reptilian." So she knows about that a lot. She's actually the one that introduced me to David Icke.
Oh, great!
I think I was calling him David Icky because I was young. But David Icke, she introduced me to that. I'm pretty sure she still got the book at her crib. I think that's where my books are, so she knows. And then I don't know who this person is, but he said, "Is Batman real?" And I said, yes. His biopic comes out on HBO Max on the 18th, so you can go ahead and watch him flying all over the motherfucking sky and shit. He also got a lady too. She got horns or whatever, little pointy things, and yeah, you gotta watch it, man. It's a great story. So go ahead, Wayne, man. What else you got, bro?
So like I said, my conspiracies, the ones I've written down are kind of surface level. You know what I mean?
I like these.
So mine is So my things are. I wanted to ask you: do you believe that if we really landed on space, or if we landed on the moon in space? Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't think we actually landed on the moon, because a few things. I'll do a quick hits on that. So I actually went to school for theater and acting and live performance, right? And I did a lot of lighting, theatrical lighting experience with that. And I have a professor who's now a really good friend, and he actually put me onto this documentary on YouTube called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon." And one of the things in there, and he's a lighting guy, and he's not into conspiracies, but he's like, this is the one thing that makes me believe we didn't land on the moon. He says, if there's a singular light source, like let's say you're on stage in a theater and you got one light pointed on you, right? Your shadow's only going to go one direction, right? So if we're on the moon and there's one singular light source, the sun, then why are shadows going different directions? Why are the shadows, going, you know, not changing lengths in different directions, things like that, right? And then two, recently in the past decade, I can't remember who said it. It was I think even Buzz Aldrin said it, and some NASA scientists. They said, little kids are like, why haven't we gone back to the moon? Why has it been so long? And they say, well, we don't have the technology. We lost and destroyed all of the technology that we used in the 1960s to get on the moon, and we just don't have it anymore, and we can't recreate it. And it's like, what?
Why?
The billions and billions of dollars, the advancements in technologies we have since the 60s. I mean, the computer on your phone is 100 times more powerful than the computers they use to get to the moon, allegedly, right? So why is that technology gone? Why can't we, recreate it? And why haven't we gone back? And they say we can't go back. There's no way to get back to the moon. And another one, last one, and I mean, there's more, but the last one is, see, I don't even know if space is real. That's how deep it goes.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait.
Man.
So according to scientists, mainstream science, there's the Van Allen belts around the Earth. They're about 1 million miles or so, not 1 million, but several 100,000 miles outside of the Earth is the Van Allen radiation belt. And that's the Earth's magnetic field actually creating a barrier of from all the radiation in space and from the sun. Hits this magnetic field and kind of creates a barrier around the Earth. It's not our atmosphere, but it's actually our magnetic field that goes much farther than the atmosphere. And they say no living tissue can get through it, but it's in between us and the moon. So even today, they say, yeah, you can't survive getting past the Van Allen radiation belts. But then how did we do it to get to the moon?
Let me ask you real quick. So just recently, I believe somebody went up to space and they came back down. Where do you think that we're going when they get in the spaceship and all that? We just fly up in the sky. Is there a certain height we get to, or
that looks kind of like space, but it's not like actually space?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm on the fence about this one because this is one that I can see both sides to the argument. There's evidence for both sides. To be the contrarian and say, oh, they're just flying at a really high altitude and coming back down. I mean, they've been doing that for years. I mean, they'll even tell you like SpaceX, right? Or the Jeff Bezos's dick-shaped rocket. He went up, they went up, and they just touched the edge of the atmosphere and they came back down, right? And so, I think that there must be a barrier there. We must not be able to get to it. And I mean, a lot of NASA's satellites, most of the satellites that are launched from Earth are actually launched by a balloon. You should look into that. I didn't believe it until I saw it, but like 90% of the satellites that we have are launched by big weather balloons. And I've seen that. They just stay up there. So I don't know. I some people like the flat earthers will say there's actually like a hard barrier there. That because rockets, when you ever watch a rocket go up, it kind of goes and immediately levels off, it kind of curves out. You'd think it would just go straight up forever, right? Until the Earth turned underneath it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I don't know. I think we live in a special place, whether that's on this ball floating through space at 1 million miles an hour, going around the galaxy 10 million miles an hour. I don't know, but I don't know if we're ever meant to leave here. In this form, in this 3D form. So I can't give you a good answer on that one, Wayne. That'd be a whole other topic. Okay. That one kind of gets a little philosophical too.
I have an opinion on the moon landing.
Okay.
So supposedly Stanley Kubrick. So if you ever watched Space,
2001,
Space 2001. First of all, I don't know about everybody else. I hated that movie. They don't talk. Not that great. But it's visually stunning. They just don't say anything. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, nor did I care. I was like, why is the baby in the front? But anyway, all right. They said that movie was so amazing that they got him to go ahead and fake the moon landing. So supposedly Stanley Kubrick was the one that did the filming.
He was the director. Yeah,
he was director of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been video that's come out. This was in the early days of YouTube, right, where you see like the flag waving. And that there's no wind in space.
Or the Coke can on set.
There's pictures of the Coke can on set in the mud dirt or whatever it is of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And we also were competing against the Russians, correct?
Yeah, it was during the
The
Cold
space
War.
race during the Cold War. I wasn't around, obviously, but when you look at and read reports about the people that was around, this was one of the most important achievements in American history,
world history,
for us to get to the moon. Like this was supposed to bring this event helped start like the peace and love movement, and like the the age of Aquarius and all of that crazy ass shit and all the sex parties. So and drugs and people taking LSD and DMT and all the other T's.
It was a consciousness awakening. Yeah.
Right. So people really thought that this was going to give them to the fourth dimension, because they was like, shit, we go to the moon, we're going to Mars next, then we're going to go to Venus and Uranus and Pluto.
Right.
But we haven't been back since. That's the only thing that always scares me about it. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if Stanley did it, but we haven't been back. The other theory is
that they did go and they saw some shit that they didn't want anyone else
Dark
to
Side
know.
of the Moon.
Right. Yeah.
Fuck that.
And then there's another theory that the Nazis after World War II, because in my opinion, Germany lost the war. The Nazis did not. The Nazi Party won the war. They went to Russia. They went to South America. They came to work for our government. I mean, NASA was started by a top brass SS officer in the Nazi Party, Werner von Braun. He designed the V-2 rockets that bombed the hell out of London for the last years of the war. And
Operation Paperclip.
He hung the 5 slowest Jews outside of his rocket factory every day. But he was portrayed to us as, I'm just a little German boy. I want to play with my rockets. No, this guy, you don't become a major in the SS without being a fucking real Nazi. And he was. And we gave him unlimited budgets. We partnered him up with Walt Disney to kind of, one of the comments said, no space kills a lot of childhood dreams. Yes, because it was this, partnered with Disney and Discovery Channel. All kids, you ask little kids what they want to be, an astronaut. I want to go to space. Well, then why aren't we?
They canceled school for like a week. They canceled school for a week to watch this shit, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing. Man, each of these we could go super deep into, but I know you guys have more questions to get into.
To that one, I feel like I don't want to know the true answer. I hope it's real, because I don't want to destroy the American pride, because even though America has done a lot of fucked up shit to me, personally, from just, racism and different things in the world and just being born poor and all of that craziness. I'm a big American. I love America. I've been and seen other places, and them other places be fucked up, like bad.
So do you really believe that them lying about going to space is going to just ruin everybody's perception of America? Because it just came out a few years ago that they were like, we did put crack in the hood. We did put crack in the streets to try to kill off the poor community, the black community, So, and then everybody, that's one thing that everyone knew. So it's like when we heard it, it was just like a fart in the wind, no big deal. You know what I mean? So, and this here, you have so many people who just don't believe in space and don't believe we landed on the moon. Why not tell the truth about it? Is it really going to kill that many people's souls? That we didn't go on the moon,
right? Back then, I think so, but not now. Back then,
that's what I mean. Like now, yeah.
Now, no.
Well, think about it though. They'd have a lot of explaining to do, because think about how much how we see ourselves on this world as a human race, like technologically, is based off of that, right? Of going to the moon, and think about how much money has been pumped into it, right? More than they pumped into crack in the black community, right? Like, so that's
billions.
Where's this money? That's money laundering on an epic proportion, right?
Like, we ain't going to fucking space. Where's the money going?
Exactly. Or they're trying to hide what's actually out there, right? Perhaps we are. Once you leave this place, you're in a different dimension, right? I mean, it's so much about because I truly believe that we are special. Divine beings, whether you believe in God or Buddha or nothing at all, but you are a powerful being. And I think that this whole space narrative, because how they explain it, you're just a piece of dust floating through an infinite sea of, and we can be blown up at any point. An asteroid could hit us, a comet could hit us, we'd all die. And like it's to make you feel small, right? It's on a subconscious level, but it's like to make you feel like nothing matters. I mean, this is where the whole nihilism movement came out of, where the idea that the world's fucked, nothing matters, we're all gonna die in a billion years anyway, so let's just fuck each other in the ass and do blow. I mean, that's really where that kind of mindset comes from, is that we are nothing, right? We're not important. We haven't
in the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme, right?
Of the cosmos.
So we're talking like real quick. I got another question since you brought up money laundering, right? Just a real quick one. Do you believe Mattress Firm is a front for money laundering?
Oh, dude, 100%.
Right.
Think about
fucking buying mattresses.
Where
buying
is this
beds
from?
like that, right?
Think about how many mattress stores there are in any given area. Like in Dallas, for example, you drive around Dallas, you go to those little strip malls, there'll be 4 mattress stores on each corner of an intersection, right? Why? There's not that much competition. How many people are buying fucking mattresses? A mattress will last you 10 years, right? So there's not enough demand for all these stores, and they always have sales on the most obscure holidays, right? Like, who else does a President's Day sale? Mattress stores. That's about it. And like maybe like, I don't know,
couches or us or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's even furniture stores. Like I have a big Ashley furniture store here in town. There's nobody ever there, but it stays open.
It's always
hiring. It's like, and they pay so. I'm like, so there's definitely something going on there, dude. Definitely.
I love this because this is the one that Wayne believes in. Like he believes in this.
Oh, you believe in it? Yeah. I think it's drugs. It could be money, just money laundering. I mean, you watch. I'm rewatching Breaking Bad with my girl right now, and she's like, "Oh, you can buy a car wash to launder all this money." It's like, when it comes to cash sales, and everybody does it, dude. I mean, almost everything is some kind of money laundering. It's absolutely fucked.
He's not lying. He ain't lying. You could do a lot with taxes. Let me just say it like that. There's a lot.
Got a good accountant. You can be the poorest person in the world and have tons of money if you got a good accountant.
Yep. Remember 50 Cent? He said he was broke. 50 Cent went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Now he got 5 TV shows, but hey, he's poor.
So we have nothing really going on in the comments, but Marty said he has a lot of research to do after this. So do I, Marty, for real.
Yeah, and you guys, I'll give you my number or whatever after this, and anytime you got questions, I'll send you shit, because I'm not the authority on any of this. I know a lot of people who can break some of this stuff down better than I can. I'm not a huge researcher myself. I just like to talk about it. You know what I mean? I like to hear what other people have to say. I like to hear what people who don't believe this stuff have to say. And that's what my podcast is for. It's like, if you're like a little bit curious about something, come to me, hear about it, and then you can maybe get pointed in the right direction to actually go deep on this stuff.
Kyle, I will say, and I'm just letting everybody know that's in the chat right now. First of all, make sure you like the video, because you already know I'm coming to your house if you don't. That's the first thing. Sorry, we're a little crazy over here, Kyle. Secondly, please follow the Big Dumb Podcast. Kyle, can you put your link to your YouTube and link to, like, you got like a link tree you could put it in the comments, please?
Oh yeah.
Please do that, because look, I started listening to the Conspiracy Guys. My wife put me on the Conspiracy Guys. Kyle, I'm pretty sure you've heard of those folks before.
Those Conspiracy Guys, the Irish?
Yeah, the Irish cats.
Yeah, that was like my first Gordo. That was like the first conspiracy podcast I listened to. Yeah,
I think that's almost everyone, like certainly in our generation, right? That's how we first started. And I would say that I like and enjoy yours just as much as I enjoy theirs. And I really mean that.
Oh, and they do like 6-hour deep dives.
Yeah, you don't like
an hour and a half, 2 hours most. And then we also do like beer reviews, right? Well, I'll get some craft beer, sit down with a friend, and we'll just drink some good beer or not so good beer and give it a review. So
now, I was gonna get some OE and have it here with me, but I couldn't find it.
Dude, it's hard to come by these days. I used to drink in college. I'd get, because I had mastered getting drunk for $6. You buy an Old English 40 and a Four Loko, and you drink the Old English down to the people, pour the Four Loko in. We call it a sidewalk slammer, because you finish that thing, your head's hitting the fucking sidewalk after that.
Yeah, Kyle. Get my number, man. You might need a kidney in a couple of years. You smashing Four Lokos and fighting in the middle of the street.
No. All right, hold on. Okay, guys, hold on. I want to get into something else, man. This one may take a little while, but I want to know how you feel on this. I want to know, Kyle, if you've done any research on it. I want to talk about the Kennedys, right?
Okay.
I want to know who do you believe shot JFK? Do you think it was an inside job? Do you think the government's another country's government had to do with it? Also, I just feel like all the other Kennedys. They died in some crazy ass way. Just I remember in the 90s, one of them died in a plane crash. They found him in the bottom of the ocean. You know, Robert Kennedy, he was killed, and they had the whole Chappaquiddick incident where he was driving off with another lady, and they found their way into an ocean, and oh God, I didn't even know. How do you feel about the whole Kennedy thing?
The Kennedys. Okay.
How do you have you done the research on the Kennedys?
Yeah, so the Kennedys are interesting, right? Because they're actually they are a crime family. As most politicians are. Donald Trump, crime, he's a mob boss. Hillary Clinton, she's a mob boss. Obama is a mob boss. I mean, these people are the Bidens, crime family. I mean, all these politicians are crime families because that's how they gain their money and their power, right? So with the Kennedys, they were the first in, best dressed, right? And they had mob connections. That's how Kennedy got elected, was through his mob connections from New York, because he was not on ball. He was not going to play ball. He thought that's how he got elected, because the mob has dirt on everybody, right? So but the thing with Kennedy is he pushed it too far, right? Because ever since the end of World War II, it's been the military-industrial complex and the intelligence apparatus of this country that has really controlled things, right? And so, and he didn't like that there's several speeches that Kennedy talks about where he talks about the dangers of secret societies, right? Because these intelligence agencies, these other leaders of the Department of Defense, the CIA, all these people are occultists. They really, they're into Freemasonry, Illuminati, Ordo Templiaris or whatever, just dark arts, occult, secret society stuff. And that's how they Wayne, I see your face. What?
No. I'm just listening.
No, yeah.
Okay, take away the occult aspect of it, but secret societies, right? If you join a secret society, which either of you can go to the lodge in Dallas or wherever you're at, Wayne. You can go to the local lodge and you can say, hey, I want to sign up. Cool. But when let's say you join your local Freemason lodge, right? Because there's even one in my little town here. You take an oath to that society that says this oath is above all other oaths I'll ever make, right? And they hold you to it. So if you take that oath and then you go take the oath, you swear on the Bible that you will defend and uphold the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that does not supersede the oath you took to that free society, that secret society, right? And so Kennedy was not into the secret societies. He actually despised it because he couldn't get anything fucking done. I mean, and he threatened. He said, "I'm gonna crush up the CIA into 1,000 pieces and let it blow away in the wind," right? And he was actually trying to bring peace with the Soviets, right? He actually had a phone line directly to the Soviet leaders. He wanted to bring peace, and they tried to manipulate him because the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about before Kennedy, they wanted war on all fronts. That's how they make their money. And so when he was trying to bring peace to the world, they didn't want that. They said, no, we don't want peace. We want fucking problems, baby. Like, that's how we go. So I think, and he also didn't keep his promises to the mob after he got in. And so I think it was multiple shooters. I'm born and raised in Dallas. I've been to Dealey Plaza. Nothing about the official story really makes a whole lot of sense. The magic bullet theory, I mean, and it was hidden so quick. I mean, it just right under.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the magic bullet theory?
Well, so there's a new doc actually from what's his name? He was just on Rogan. He did an old Kennedy documentary in like the early 2000s or the 90s, and he just did Oliver Stone. That's it. Yep. Okay. And he did a revised one recently that I'm pretty sure you can watch it for free on YouTube or something. And they break down that magic bullet theory. This bullet would have had to gone through Kennedy into the governor. I can't remember his name, in the front seat, come out of him, go back around, go into his chest again, and then curve around, go down his leg, hit his arm. I mean, it would just, and Jay, you like guns, right? Because of your training. I'm not saying you ever shot anybody, but you know what damage a bullet can do, but also what the human body can do damage to a bullet, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you hit a deer, you hit even a tree, you shoot a bullet, and it's gonna be smashed up to pieces, it's gonna be fragmented depending on the rounds you use, right? So This bullet, when they found it, didn't have a scratch on it. It wasn't dented. It wasn't any of this. It was a pristine bullet, and it supposedly went through, had made like 7 entrance and exit wounds. I mean, it's just it makes no sense. It changed directions and it came out clean, which doesn't happen. So that's why they called it the magic bullet. It showed up on the gurney after the body had already been transferred multiple times, right? So someone just slipped it on there. You know what I mean? So that's part of it. I think there were multiple shooters, though. I think the mob wanted him. I think the CIA wanted him. I think the Russians wanted him. So, they probably all got together and said, hey, we got it. Well, and also going on the occult aspect of it, it was a killing of a king, right? And that's a big in the occult world, is the killing of the king, right? Because think about what it did to our nation. Like, it completely changed everything. And then what happens when you kill a king, right? You become the king, right? And old bloodlines and things like that. You kill the king, you become the king, right? So that's exactly what that was. Whoever killed Kennedy is whoever is in power to this day. Like that's what the quote unquote deep state, right? The people who really pull the strings and stuff. So I don't know.
Do you think Johnson had anything to do with it? Lyndon B. Johnson?
Yeah, I think. Oh, I think the most responsible people were the Bushes. I think George Bush was the most responsible for it. He was the head of the CIA at the time, and the Bushes have run shit for a very long time. So I think and George Bush and Barack Obama are cousins, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
On his mom's side,
all presidents except for 2 are blood related. Going back to George Washington, all presidents in the United States are blood related. Like a kid, like an elementary school or a junior high kid, did a history project, and she actually put it all together that they're all related by blood. So that's what I'm saying. It goes back to
see that
bloodline.
shit. I need to see.
I'll
that.
find it.
Yeah,
Anyone can find it. Just look up all presidents related, and you can find it. But it's crazy, man. And I think the Bushes were the leaders of it for a long time.
So I have all right. I've been to the actual location where
Dealey Plaza.
Dealey Plaza, and did the walk and everything down there, like downtown Dallas and things of that nature. And I've talked to people that lived here and know about it. It's a big thing in Dallas. It's huge. It's
part of the map.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is before the Cowboys. Really. Yeah. Right.
We're not gonna get into that.
Yeah, we talk about that another day. So this is one I do believe. I do believe in this one. He did have a lot of enemies. There's a lot of motherfuckers that wanted his head.
Yeah.
So I do believe that. I don't know if it was multiple shooters. That makes more sense. But the guy that supposedly did it, what was his name again?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't think he was in the right state of mind to even pull this shit off. And if he did do it, he was convinced to do it. And the reason why, because everybody kind of hated that guy. Like that gentleman, elites, the elite people in the government, they couldn't stand him, and he was like that person that was going to destroy the establishment. And it's a shame that they got him. It's a shame that they had him doing that fucking parade like that, wide open. That was weird with the drop top Benz and shit. Like, come on, man. Like, this ain't rap. Like, why are he fucking out there? You know what I mean? Like, out there just wide open, like he's untouchable. Are you serious? So.
Yeah, and you said all the elites and the establishment kind of hated him. And Wayne, I guess just to trigger you a little bit, can you think of another president that the elites and the establishment hated? Maybe like the last one.
Yeah. I think Obama. I think Trump.
I don't know, man. I thought Obama was very well liked, in my opinion, by a lot of people. At least not in his first term. They didn't like him his first term, but his second term, that's when they started making the money. But I was just trying to fuck with you, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. It's fine.
We try to avoid saying Trump.
Okay.
No. We get that. But so it's not going to trigger me, to say Trump. I just hate the guy and everything that he stood for. I hate the fact
on Trump.
Yeah, I hate the fact that he was so beloved by our community, and this is the guy that he turned out to be. So maybe he was, I guess, always like that.
Oh, we talk the game sometimes,
dude. I think January 6th, that I was after that, I was done with him, dude. I was like, I can't just how he behaved that day, how he treated his supporters, and how just he kind of led these people into doing something that they probably most of them didn't. I mean, I'm actually releasing an episode this on Monday. One of my good friends who's a podcaster, he actually just got out of jail for January 6th. And so I was the first one to talk to him about it, because he said, I mean, and that's another one we can get into, because he said, dude, they just let me in. I wasn't armed. I wasn't anything. He said, they just let us in. And like, I walked around. He said him and his buddy smoked a blunt in the Capitol building. And that no one, like, he didn't go with the crowd. They like walked upstairs and just kind of walked around and didn't break anything.
Frightening as hell, man.
Yeah, he said
scary, man.
They were just let in. And there was no, he said, we weren't in the struggle up front. He said there was a lot of weird looking people who were kind of starting shit, FBI or, Secret Service, just kind of plants, the agent provocateurs. They do that. They did that at the BLM protests too. I mean, it's that broken window theory. You see that's a sign of civility. So you break one window and shit just starts going off, and that happened on January 6th. So we can get it. I don't want to get into that now. That's a whole other episode, because it's triggering for a lot of people. I'm not saying triggered like you're going to get pissed off at me, but like a lot of people don't really know how to handle that. And I didn't for a while, but talking to my friend, he was eye hand witness, hand eye, whatever. He was there, and he was there. He was in the building. He was in the building smoking blunts. He went to jail. He got charged. He got charged with a Class B misdemeanor of parading in the Capitol. That was his charge, parading in the Capitol.
When that happened, I know we don't, it is a triggering event for a lot of people. And Kyle, I know a lot of people that, like my best friend, his name is Bob.
Shout out to Bob.
Bobby De Niro. Bobby De Niro. He is a Trump supporter. He's a black man. He walks around with his MAGA hat and all of that.
I bet he pisses a lot of people off with that, dude.
Old people hate him. But he's really he knows how to be very ignorant to other people. So when you say a comment to him, he'll either throw 100 facts at you, or he'll be like, you can't beat me in a fist fight, or I'm gonna shoot you. Because he also has a lot of guns, because he's ex-military. So it's like sometimes you could bully people on the internet. He's one of them type of people that come to your house. So you just leave him fuck alone and just ignore him,
Bob sounds like we could hang out. I like Bob.
Yeah, I think you would really love Bob. Bob is
have a cookout.
Yeah. Oh, Bob, he's cool, but even he was like put off by that shit. And he was
I saw it happening live when it was going down, and I was like, at first I was like, revolution, we're taking over, as in like the government. I was just like, I hated the government. I was like, cool, it's all, the people are taking back the house, and then, dude, not even 5 minutes later, I was looking at things really going on, and I was like, oh, this isn't right. Like something's not right about this. You know what I mean? So, and I still am not quite sure how to feel. I completely disagree with how the media portrayed it. Like the worst
crime ever.
And I actually, on the anniversary of it, I did a live stream, and I went through all the facts of 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, and I was like, January 6th was worse, the worst attack, because and I was like, 3,000 people dead on 9/11, not as bad as January 6th. You know what I mean? Just because I was just mimicking the media really chalked it up to that. And most people know that that's not the case. They know it wasn't that bad. Right. But also there's a lot of implications to it, right? And like I said, I don't necessarily want to get into that too much, because I don't know enough, and I'd have
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It really is. And
it is.
It was kind of, to me, it was a ritual. It was some sort of ritual thing going on. But again, that's something else.
I would, Wayne, I know you probably got some more questions, but I really do want to talk about secret societies.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. What do you want to? What are you curious about? What do you?
More of a comment, and then let's see what you think.
Okay, cool.
So there's a few people that's probably in this chat, and other people that know a lot about secret societies, right? Let's say it that way. And these people might say that there's two sides of a coin.
Mm-hmm.
There's always the light and the dark. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the occult, everyone always sees the devil worshippers, the child killings, the sacrifices. I mean, there's a lot of missing people, so I believe that shit happens constantly. It's a daily thing, every day we doing it, not me, but them, My question is why is the occult and certainly the Illuminati, which we all know why it started, right? To actually give the information of the church and protect the church from, pagans and shit. Why does that have such a bad light?
Okay.
Like in the conspiracy theorist community, Freemasons, Scottish Masons, Rosicrucians, people that's in Illuminati, all of those things. Why is this like they do no good? They are the devil. Why is that?
Well, I agree with you 100% that it's two sides of the coin, and a lot of people will tell you that there is no coin, like this quote unquote magic, because in the secret societies, the occult. And occult just means hidden. That's really all the word means. It just means hidden. So it's hidden knowledge, hidden information, right? It's so it's neither light nor dark. It's all about your intention, right? So I've had guys on my show. You guys should check them out if you want to know more about this. Their show's called The Occult Rejects, and they're on YouTube and podcasts and stuff. And they're actually two former secret society members who practice ritual magic, sigil magic, all of these types of things. And they say, oh, it's very real, but it's neither light nor dark. It's all about your intention behind it, right? Just like with your words, like, they call, when you write down a word, it's called spelling, right? It's because that's a spell. Like there's intent behind it, and you're actually trying to change something with that word, right? So, and like with curses, right? Like if I said, fuck you, Wayne, you're a piece of shit, like that's not really gonna
I'm just using that again. I'm about to clip that. What? I'm putting that on the internet. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
That isn't much of a curse as me saying you're just like your father, or you'll never amount to anything, right? So words are powerful, and and so just as when you write something down, they say write your goals down, write your what you want to do down, because there's power in that. That's actually you're doing magic by spelling. And then the words they're manipulated all around us, right? So like when you turn on your TV, you're not watching a show, you're watching programming. You're being programmed. And television, they're telling you a vision that they want you to see. And there's examples for this on everything. Like the Occult Rejects, they pointed out to me that on your iPhone, right, you see that apple, right? What does that represent? The fall of man. Eve eating of the forbidden fruit, the bite out of the apple, that was the first sin against God, right? And I was like, holy shit. So we're all
that's definitely a holy shit moment right there. That is, I did not know that. That's definitely a holy shit thing.
And Jay, you said you don't participate in this stuff, but you don't willingly participate, right? You got Nike shoes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Swoosh is an occult symbol for like power, or I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean all of these symbols, logos, Google's logo, all of these things, there's occult symbology in all of it, and it all means something. So whether you're actively participating in it or not, like willingly, you are participating in it. And that's why like the Super Bowl, all those massive events, right? It's an energy harvesting thing for good or evil, right? Usually for evil. That's why they put all those in movies too. They put those little symbols in there that your subconscious picks up on that you won't actually see. And if you train yourself, you can actually see those things, right? So especially performance events, it's a lot of ritual stuff. I mean, what was that? The rapper in Houston, while those people died, right?
Travis
Scott, right? I mean, he's into some shit, right? In my opinion. Just based on the symbology of the show and of the set. I mean, you had to walk through his mouth to get into the concert. You're being eaten, your soul is being taken, right? But as far as secret societies, I think going back to it, I think it's one or the other. It's all about your intent. And I mean, I've talked to some people in secret societies, they like the local Freemasons, they just want to do business. They want to just network and help their community. And I think at the same with religion, right? At the lower levels of all of these structures, it's really well intentioned. It's people like you and me trying to help our community get closer to God, better ourselves as men, whatever it may be. But at the highest levels, the Vatican Church is all kinds of crazy and fucked up, fucking little boys and money laundering and shit like that. Same with the Freemasons. At the higher levels you go, that's when you actually learn the shit. But you got to be willing to play ball. That's the thing. Like, you got to do some shit that you probably don't.
Kyle, real quick. How do you not go crazy, man? Because if everything is like every symbol like means something different, or every event or activity, and you can see it, and how do you just see it all the time? You walk through life and seeing it, and you just don't go crazy.
Well, I do go crazy. That's why I started the podcast, so that I wouldn't feel so crazy talking to myself all the time, right? So that helps a little bit, but also, you've seen the Matrix, right? When you take the red pill, right? You can never really go back, right? Once you see this shit, it's impossible to ignore. But what I do is I force myself. One, if I choose not to participate in something, I'm not going to participate in it. You know what I mean? Hey, this thing's going to be too much for me. I can't do it, right? Sometimes you got to learn to just keep your mouth shut. My fiance can't really take me too many places, because I'll just be like, oh, this fucking shit. Did you see the chemtrails today? and three is sometimes you just ignore it and enjoy yourself, right? Like I love playing video games. I love watching movies. And I just it's like I take the blue pill to kind of relax a little bit, right? Because I'm red pill all week, 24 hours a day, just going. Much like, then I on the weekends or something, like I played video games all morning, Lego Star Wars. I was like, oh, this is a good game, So, and I hate Disney. Don't want to support them or whatever, but hey, I enjoy it. It's a leisurely for me. And it's also balanced too. Everything goes back to a balance, right? There's days where I'm about to spend my entire life savings and wedding, because I'm getting married soon, my wedding fund.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. 6 months of emergency survival food. You know what I mean? Like I can't, but
been there.
That's living in fear though. Right. And they want me living in fear, whether it's a CNN listener saying, Donald Trump's going to kill you all. That type of fear, or me, a conspiracy theorist saying, oh, the World Economic Forum is going to take over and they're going to shut off my power and starve us out. That's also fear. You know what I mean? Right. So just avoiding the fear, avoiding the emotional manipulation. That's and that's the higher level. Like one level is like seeing it and recognizing it. And the second level of that is like getting out of it, right? Getting out of that system. And that's why, there's like people say, oh, you got like a white belt in conspiracy, a black belt in conspiracy. There's certain conversations that you got to have some proper tools to get around. So
I think that's a healthy balance. I'm glad you have that. Some people don't, and what they end up doing is, mailing bombs and motherfuckers and shit like that. We all know about that.
Hey, have you read have you read the Unabomber's manifesto?
Yeah, the manifesto. I would say he was right.
Yeah, he was right
in terms of he was right. I would just say it like that. But the way you go about being right, and it was easy. It just took somebody to write it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of that shit was just bland. It was just right in everyone's face, but it just took someone to write it down that way. But the actions after is not right, because you can't just keep blowing up
the book and gone on a book tour, gone on Oprah's show or something.
Right, and it kept it moving.
Yeah,
People might think you was crazy, but now people think you super duper crazy, right? Who is this person talking about PlayStation or Xbox?
I'm talking about video games. I'm on Xbox, dude. I'll give you my gamer tag if you want.
Thanks. Go ahead. You can throw it in the chat, man. Answer me. Okay. All righty. Don't get aggressive over here, bro. Sorry. You know what? Hold up.
So real quick. Let me ask you this, Kyle. Explain or both of you guys really. Explain chemtrails to me like I'm a 5-year-old. The best way you can.
Both of y'all. Let Kyle explain it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Kyle.
Okay. So chemtrails, right? This was something that I was super against for a long time. I didn't believe it. I thought it was BS, right? Because everyone knows contrails form on the wingtips of a plane because of the condensation of the atmosphere, the speed at which it's moving, the temperature, right? That's why, like on like a fighter jet, you see little. I'm doing things with my arms, but you can't see them. But there's like little on the tips of the wings, like shit kind of flies off of that. But it follows closely behind the plane and it disappears, right?
Mm-hmm.
So chemtrails are something different. It's actually a chemical compound that is aerosolized and actually sprayed either out of the engines or through special exhausts on the planes, right? And they linger all day. You can see them I see it all the time. I get up in the morning, beautiful sunrise, nice clear skies. Right around lunchtime, that's when I see the lines going across, right? And there's no big airport near me. It's a small little airport. Yeah, we're flyover country, but still, these flight paths are all going they're crisscrossing like that, like X marks the spot. Like I could play tic-tac-toe over my house if I really wanted to. You know what I mean? So it's like a grid pattern at lunchtime. And by the end of the day, there's just this weird fog across the whole sky because these little chemtrails, they spread out, right? And eventually, like at like right around like 6:30, when the sun's starting to go down, they all concentrate where the sun is. They're like blocking the sun, right? So that's just what I see, right? So you want to know how, like, what I use to back that up, right? So if you Google chemtrails, right? Let's type in Google chemtrails. All you're going to get is conspiracy theory, chemtrails aren't real. Snopes is going to be like, it's bullshit. But if you Google aerosolized atmospheric injections,
gotta spell that one.
Then you'll get Harvard studies and university departments and government programs that are like, yeah, here's how we're manipulating the weather. Here's how we're trying to combat climate change. Here's how we're trying to block out the sun. Bill Gates wants to block out the sun. It's using chemicals like aluminum, aluminum boride. I mean, I don't know all the chemicals. This is the Big Dumb Podcast. I don't know fucking everything, but but you can find these chemical things that, I mean, they've done viruses. They put viruses in these things. They've put vaccines in these things. They've put poisons in. I mean, all this stuff, and it gets into the water, it gets to the ground. But if you just look into aerosolize, atmospheric injections, that's what a chemtrail is. It's not called a chemtrail, but there's actually government programs that do this, and they do it all the time. Whether it's to cloud seed, whether to change the weather in one part of the country or move fronts a certain direction. Notice how the weather's been getting the last 10 years. Weather's gotten real crazy, right?
Right.
And yeah, climate change is a big part of that. But when in my opinion, the real climate change going on is all these things being sprayed in the sky. And then you also have HAARP, which is high altitude atmospheric radio pulsometer or something like that. It's a thing that they had in Antarctica back in the day, or not Antarctica, Alaska, that actually would shoot radio frequencies high into the atmosphere to actually control weather patterns. And in my opinion, they have multiple facilities like this all over the world that can actually create hurricanes using frequencies, using atmospheric manipulation. And I think that's in tandem with these chemicals that they're spraying as well. And so, and I know I sound fucking crazy. I know it sounds like Dr. Evil, but I'm telling you, if you just look up
Dr. Evil.
If you look up the right things, $1 billion. But if you use the right keywords in your research, I love your background, Wayne. By the way, Charlie from the that's like the classic. Because look at me right now. I'm connecting all these dots, right? That are of things that I see, and they all connect one way or another. So I'm just telling people listening out there, if you look up on the internet, aerosolized atmospheric injections, aerosol engineering, geoengineering, all these terms, you'll actually find out what I'm talking about when I say chemtrails, right? And two, what was I going to say? Just look up in the sky too. Just, get off if you're outside, get off your phone and just look up, and you'll kind of start to notice it, right? It's a contrail when it doesn't linger, right? If you see a plane flying up really high, it looks real tiny, and you see the trail behind it and it kind of disappears after a while behind the plane, that's probably an actual contrail. But if you see, you just come outside one at lunchtime or something, and you see a bunch of just like lines and X's and shapes and stuff in the sky, and then you come back 2 hours later and they're wider, they've spread out. Mm-hmm. That's not a contrail. That's a chemtrail. And I don't know what their agenda is. I think they're trying to poison us. I think they're trying to manipulate the weather. Yeah.
I have so many questions about this. Wayne. Mind if I go ahead and ask?
No. That's what we're here for. Come on.
This is one I don't believe in. And now you had Kyle, you had posted on your Instagram page. Go check it out, his Instagram page, the Big Dumb Podcast. You posted on there, and I was going to I didn't comment, right? Now I was going to comment like,
I love when you guys comment on my shit.
I was going to be like, this is not, I was going to say something smart. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm not too witty in person. But the reason why I don't believe in this one, I feel like the elites are capitalists at the end of the day, right? They want money, power, right?
Well, I don't think they're. I agree that they believe they are capitalists, but they are parasitic capitalists. True capitalism, free market capitalism, voluntarism is what I like to call it. That's not. I mean, that's what capitalism started as. Like, I choose to do business with you and have an exchange, right? That we are not in that anymore. I completely.
Yeah, it's totally different.
In my opinion, we're in a fascist society because the government and corporations are now one. But continue with what your point was.
I know what you mean by that.
Point that out.
The gap of the 1% is now like 0.1%. It's less. Like the separation of wealth has spread, and the people that are at the elite, the most powerful, they are the most dangerous and evil people probably in the galaxy, right? If there is one for our conversation today. So the reason why I don't believe in chemtrails as much is because the change in the weather, that would make more sense. But the poisoning of people, I feel like as slaves, we give so much money to like the people that are in charge of this world that I don't know why they wouldn't want to keep us around and hurt us like cattle.
Well, it's what's it called? Not Munchausen, but Stockholm syndrome, right? If they keep us captive, it's also goes back to the Hegelian dialect. You might have heard of that. David Icke talks about it. It's problem, reaction, solution, right? So if someone wants to manipulate you or get money out of you, what do? They create a problem, right? So and then they allow you to react to that problem, right? And then they sell you the solution to the problem that they created, right? So for example, if we're gonna, I could go on a lot of different things where that's happened, but with chemtrails, right? You believe the weather change, right? But I think both can be true. The weather change and the poisoning, right? They change the weather to ramp up the climate change narrative. Oh my God, the tornadoes are getting worse. The fires are getting worse. The flooding and the earthquakes, all this stuff. Our reaction, oh my God, we're all going to die. What can we do to stop it? Solution, spend $80,000 on a electric car. Don't do all this green stuff, like put a windmill in your backyard, all this stuff, right? So that's one example, right? And then the poisoning, right? If they're putting all these chemicals, we know there's chemicals in our water. We know there's chemicals.
Yeah. That's known. Fluoride is a fucking
chemicals in the air we breathe, right? So problem, problem is you get sick from these chemicals that's the problem is they're spraying chemicals to poison you. Reaction, you get sick. You don't feel good. You're always worn down. You have allergies. You have even cancers. Solution, sell you some fucking medicine. That's how they get the pharmaceutical industry on the cut. You know what I mean? So that's just one example. But like, can I share my screen? Is that possible to do?
Yeah, you should be able to. If you go to share, do you have share?
Yeah. Let me pull up this tab right here. Here it is.
And Dante said population control.
Yep, that as well too, because they do it in high urban centers. They do it. I mean, I don't know. They do it everywhere, in my opinion. But yeah, it is population control because also it can affect the crops too. So if they want you to, struggle a bit for food or whatever, they might do that. So this is a Harvard solar geoengineering research program, right? Harvard University. This is just one study that they break down that they're doing. Stratospheric aerosol, a critical gap for reducing uncertainties of radiative and chemical impact of geoengineering and non-geoengineering aerosol under UTLS conditions. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm just saying, go to this Harvard geoengineering, that you type in geoengineering. It's one of the first things that pops up. I'm just saying that they're actually doing this, right? So that's one thing to look at as well.
See, and I love the fact that you provided us facts that we can read over. Exactly. And I will tell you this, as soon as I looked at that title, my first thing was like, I ain't gonna read that shit. That is way too complex for me. And if you hide information that way,
that's how they do it.
Right. You can keep a lot of people. And me and Wayne talked about this a lot. Most people just want to go home, fuck their wife or whoever you got, eat some chicken and fall asleep on the fucking couch. Most people don't feel like that, and they'll die happy like that. They don't care at all because life is so stressful. It's too much to interact with one person for you to think about the world.
That's by design, man. That's why I said at the very beginning of the show, what are these systems or whatever, what's the point of it? it's to break out of those systems, right? It's to live a better life. Yeah, I feel crazy sometimes, but I feel like if everybody was kind of on this page, we wouldn't let ourselves be manipulated and controlled as much as we are now. I mean, think about how much time you spend on your phone, and trust me, I spend it a lot of time, more time than I should on my phone, right? Think about you're right. I just sometimes I don't want to come home and even do a podcast. I want to just fucking sit on the couch, drink
and go to
some
sleep.
food and go to sleep. Yeah, but I feel like we're just like y'all feel like y'all are called to do this podcast, right? To share your perspectives. The internet is a double-edged sword, in my opinion. It can make us or it can break us, right? We can get bogged down by the TikTok ass shakers and the fucking, it's like eating bad food, right? You eat bad food, you watch bad shit, you're gonna have a bad time. But if you use the tools at hand to better yourself, to learn something, to find some good recipes, like that's what I like to look on like TikTok is like some good recipes, right?
Like that ass shaking too, though.
Over time, right? That's not good for like porn is terrible for your brain, but fuck, I still watch porn. You know what I mean? Like most people do, but it's all about that balance, and it's about using the tools you have to actually better ourselves. Like I've said before, technology, I love it. I think it's fantastic, but the powers that be, the people who hold these technologies, are going to use it to hold us down, keep us stressed out, keep us unhealthy, keep us fat, keep us dumb, and sell us stuff. That's really what it comes down to. They want to just sell you stuff. I mean, it's all about ads. It's all about manipulating you into buying shit, and we're all guilty of it,
To sell you stuff, that's my main thing. I really believe that part. Dude, I believe that's the reason why I believe in certain conspiracy theories is because of the money. It's the money. And it's not even conspiracy theory to me. It's just the money. Like these motherfuckers do this shit because it makes money and it allows them to make more money. And as a person that runs like ads and shit like that all the time,
I see your shit. Yeah, I follow. Look at your ads.
You follow me. You see my ads. You can just like the motherfucker and keep it moving. When you see those ads and the way that they target people down to their interest and their age and I'm surprised you can't do it by ethnicity, honestly. But I'm pretty sure. Oh, see, look. So
Google ads do for sure.
Come on, man. Like you can do it by someone's economic wealth. Like how much they make.
They know what products you're going to be able to afford and which ones you're not. That's why your data is the new oil, right? It's the
it is.
Data is the new oil because they're going to be able, with AI and with all this new technology, they're going to be able to fucking tell you what you want to eat 3 weeks from now before you even know. They are even now saying they can tell you if you're gay or not. It's like, I can tell you if you're gay or not.
I know you're gay.
Yeah, right.
You're gay, dude. I trust me. I watch. Yeah, you're gay as fuck.
Let that computer fucking tell you. I know.
Right, but I mean, that's like, think about like in China, they do that like from young age. Like they use algorithms to determine what kind of school you're going to go to, what kind of education you're going to get, where you fit into society. And you see that in movies too all the time, like in the future sci-fi, like little kids, you're smart, you have this predetermination, we're going to send you over here. Hey, you're kind of dumb, you're not going to really go break rocks, that kind of thing. And everyone has their place, right? But it should be up to them to that free will to be able to determine that. And that's what it comes down to, man, is like they're eliminating our we have an illusion of choice. You know what I mean? When it comes to politics, when it comes to products we buy, food we buy, it's an illusion of choice because it's all owned by the same people and it's all crap.
I think the main reason why, like when you reached out to us and was like, man, we want to do this podcast. And I was just like, you know what? Listening to more of your content, like our community, the African-American community, the Latin community, the minority community, we are all conspiracy theorists. We just don't call it that.
Yeah.
We all are.
I'm not going to lie. The community I'm in, a lot of straight white dudes and their hot wives, which is great. That's cool. I don't look at it that way though. I just look at it as these are people who have kind of woken up to things, and that's great. We need to get more people in our community because you guys are absolutely right. The minorities in this country, women, blacks, gays, Hispanics, people that I love, right? They have been manipulated and downtrodden and abused by the government, institutions, for forever. And I was able to see that. And so I think we need to bridge that gap between the communities.
Exactly.
And I will say the race issue, that becomes heated, but that's something that the elites have inserted into our society to get us to fight with each other so that we don't come together and actually settle the issues that are at hand and focus on who's really abusing who. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I've never, and I'm sure you guys hear this from white people all the time. Like, I have black friends. That's not what I mean. Like, I'm not a hateful person, right? I look at everybody as, like Martin Luther King, content of your character. If you're going to be a fucking asshole, then I'll treat you like a fucking asshole, right? So that's how I look at things. I feel that all peoples are manipulated. All people are manipulated and emotionally abused by the powers that be. And I think, dude, we give blacks guns. I mean, GBG, let's go. I mean, I think everybody should. What I'll say is I think we agree on a lot more than we disagree on. And
hell yeah,
the little disagreements are blown. That's what you see, right? That's what's blown out of proportion. No one talks about this kind of stuff that we all agree on. Like, yeah, I know the fucking CIA was funneling crack into the minority communities to destroy the community, to put the fathers in jail so that they could get the mothers on welfare, so that they could, abuse the control the population. I mean, Bill Gates's mom started Planned Parenthood, and she was a eugenicist who wanted to kill black babies. I mean, that's where this all comes from. And that's why they push, who did they push the vaccines on the most? Old people. And then, like, once they got rid of the old people, right, we need to give these to minorities first. They're the first ones who get, and that should be a red flag, right? Who did Hitler want to kill first? The minorities. I mean, it was just
his minorities looked a little different over there.
Yeah.
They just looked a little different.
And so I think we agree on, and that's why, because, I think our first interaction that we had was probably not maybe the best, because you saw that Let's Go Brandon thing. I
didn't have a negative thought about you. I just saw it and wanted to talk about it because I thought it was so interesting that it's gotten to a point in our country now that a person that defends himself to one group is also on another group seen as committing murder.
Right.
And then the narrative that's spun throughout the media is like, well, he killed two sex, or like one of them was like a person that had were a registered pedophile, I believe, a registered sex offender, and that was like
young boys. Yeah,
right. That was spread out throughout the media, and then like the fact that he got off, but as a person that owns the exact same gun that he used to commit those murders or commit self-defense, you look at it from those two ways. But that was all politicized and given to us. So you had like me and Wayne sitting there angry that happened because we thought that would never happen with an African American. Right. So if he was black, his ass would have been burnt alive and dead. Right. That's what our whole point is about the Let's Go Brandon thing. Is like, but do I support why and how he did it? Should he have not been there? Fuck no, I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, but some people beating him up and him smoking them.
Hell yeah.
I mean, if it was my ass, it would have been the same thing because I would have had the same gun. I would have wearing the same vest. I got this shit. I'm looking at the shit. So, I can't lie and act like I wouldn't have did the same thing. But that's our main thing is like the equality is just not there.
Right.
And that race issue is like spread throughout each community to separate us apart.
100%. And I will tell you, this is a joke, but I don't. It's probably a bad joke. I have equality, and it sucks.
You got you got privilege and it's trash.
Yeah, it's not that great. I could barely like pay my bills. It's not. I'm not saying I'm worse off than anyone else, but equality sucks. I think like I said, we talked about like y'all are manipulated for your vote, right? I think y'all should be asking for a lot more. You should be getting free extra toppings on your pizzas, fast passes at Six Flags. I mean, all this great stuff that quality.
I just want my reparations. Honestly,
exactly. I'm just what I'm saying, like for real. And
I'm afraid of receiving reparations. What comes along after?
Wayne thinks that. So, I don't know, Kyle. Did you ever watch the Chappelle Show?
Oh fuck yeah, I love Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
Remember when they got reparations and Ashley Larry, Ashley Larry bought the truck full of Newports and was like, "We're going," and he said, "I'm rich, bitch." That's what Wayne might thinks that might happen.
No. I know that that's going to happen. I know that as soon as we get reparations, that we're going to give the money back to white people. I do know that for sure because there's nothing else to really do with it. You know what I mean? But what I believe with reparations comes with, once we get that, then we're not going to be able to, teach about slavery. Not complain. No, we're not going to be able to teach the world about slavery and what happened. Like they're trying to stop that with critical race theory now. It's almost like shut up money. And I don't like that because, that is a part of American history,
The stimulus checks were that.
They were they robbed you of $8 trillion, gave you 12. They fucked you and left some money on the counter on the way out. I mean, that's what that was. And I think it's coming down to everybody. So yes, I agree. I can see both y'all's points on reparations. I don't know. I'm not one to speak on it. I'm not going to speak on it. You know what I mean? Because it's not my issue. But there's a great podcast that you guys should listen to. It's called Mo Facts with Adam Curry.
I know that. Yeah.
It's a great show because Mo is a bigger conspiracy theorist than me, but he's a black man and he talks to Adam Curry, who invented podcasting, right? He's the podfather. And they do a great show together talking about all these issues going back to 2020. I mean, everything that happened, he's got an episode on it. Like, I don't know if y'all saw when my screen was bigger. I got a Bill Cosby poster back here.
You know what? I want to show you something as well when you get done talking about that.
Oh, no, I was just saying this podcast is great. They break down the issues and their whole trope, their like, I guess, mission statement is, Malcolm X said, the black man and the white man have to be able to sit down at the table and talk about the issues, right? They have to be able to, the black man has to be able to speak freely without worrying about upsetting the white man. And the white man has to be able to speak freely without worrying about upsetting the black man. And that's what they do on the show. And I feel like that's what this conversation has been. As much as the conspiracies are fun, like we have to bridge that gap. We have to like sit down and talk. But a lot right now, for like me at work, dude, I can't say shit to fucking anybody. Like I am the demon at work just because I'm a white guy and I live in West Texas. It's just that I work in a liberal arts department. I can't say fucking shit to anybody. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not, I believe in diversity of thought just as much as like diversity of ethnicities and cultures. Right. I love it. But diversity, if you're all thinking the same thing and have no room for, other sides, like, that's worse than just having white people, not having any minorities there. You know what I mean? Because then people are just stagnant, and when everybody all agrees on something to that extent and pushes out other ideas, that's when shit gets bad. That's how that's when firing squads start showing up and the gulags.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't agree with me? Out to the fucking gulags.
All right, I want to go ahead and read some of the comments because I think someone came out with a good idea. So Dante said population control. That's what he was talking about with the chemtrails. And see, I always struggle with population control because I feel like the more people, the more money, but also Soylent Green. And I don't want to start eating motherfuckers because personally, Impossible Burgers, I think that's people. But that's
no, you'll be eating bugs. You'll be eating bugs before you get to people. So bugs,
right.
Bugs are the next step.
If I may, I kind of agree with population control. Because think about Thanos in the Avengers. I feel like he was kind of on point, like we don't need that many people here, man. I'm sorry if I'm stupefying the conversation.
No, you're not. That's
but
a good
I kind of feel it, man.
That's a good point. I've brought up Thanos in my podcast as well. If he had ultimate power to, kill half the population, half of all life, right? If he had that much power, don't you think he could have snapped his fingers and just fixed all the problems, right?
Ding, ding, ding. That's why he's stupid.
Abundant, right? And that's a mindset of scarcity, right? There's a mindset of scarcity where, there's not enough people, there's not enough resources, there's not enough this or that for all these people. That's bullshit, dude. The earth is it's a cycle of life. It is meant to hold us here. It is meant to provide for us. But these parasites, these elite people want us to feel like there's scarcities. That way they can hoard all the resources for themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to think in a mindset of abundance. Like, I have more than I will ever need, even though I'm only making 30 grand a year, right? I'm struggling, but I have food, I have a house, I have a car that gets me from A to B. You know what I mean? I don't own a house. I'm not saying that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, and yes, everybody could have a little more. And, you know, all the entire population of the earth could fit in Texas with a couple of acres of land. I mean, everybody could live here and have, I think, an acre with a house, right? So the earth is not. Have you ever taken a long drive? Like,
I was just about to say that, Kyle. Come to Texas. Come the fuck to Texas.
There's nothing but
room. There's nothing. There's a lot of space, dog.
So I think it's when people, the whole cities, you know, the urbanization of populations, like to get them into cities, to cram them into a small area. Those are the people who are like, yeah, there's too many people here. We need to start killing people. Get out of the cities. You know what I mean? You can buy some land and I mean, the national forest. I mean, we are overly abundant. So, and you ask some scientists, even Elon Musk, I don't trust the guy, but he was like, we don't have enough people. Like, we do not have enough people. Our birth rates are declining. Sperm counts declining. We need more people, or we're not going to be able to sustain ourselves.
And that's why people believe chemtrails are trying to, you know, eliminate people. And I can
think of one thing that's probably going to eliminate a lot of people.
What?
It's that V word that I can't say.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to find out in a couple years.
I got the V word. And I don't feel too bad yet, you know, but
I think it might be
kids. Tell me how that goes.
Say it again.
No, I'd love to, and I don't mean this in a gay way, but I'd love to like count your sperm. You know what I mean? See how that's going. See what's.
You know how you get caught.
Not to get gay.
Oh God. All right, so
let's keep going with these comments.
In the comments, 100% True said, what's your view on BLM squandering 60 million worth of donations? And I guess that also has to come with, like, I don't know, that 60 million also included buying the mansion in West Hollywood. I think that was for 6 million. So look, I don't want to talk about that right now. And the reason why is because that is a topic that I would love to do a whole nother podcast with
y'all
you.
Could for sure.
Because I need to really look at this and see if it's just propaganda, or if, you know, that little $2 I gave is somebody getting their feet washed with it. Because I'm about to go get that. You know what I mean? I need my bread. So I want to know, because we support Black Lives Matter in terms of the term.
Not the corporation, right?
Well,
not
corporation, man.
Right?
I don't know about you, Wayne, but I don't think I don't know anything about the corporation side. You know,
no.
So you know, all right. So let's keep
before
going,
you do it. I just want to say real quick that I do appreciate, Kyle. I do appreciate that you say it's not my matter to speak on, or I won't go deeper into it. That's because that's not to say that you don't have an opinion on it.
I do.
See, that's why I said at the beginning of it that you're very mature in your approach. So even if we disagree politically or whatever the case is, I still love your podcast. I still like respect you as a human because of just the type of person you are. Even though you wear it on your shirt, you know. I just love that you're mature enough to say, hey, I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to speak on these woman issues here. You know,
not that I don't have my opinion, because I do. Everybody's got an opinion, but I'm not gonna. I've learned to not there's just certain, like, it's like the third rail, right? Like, I won't talk about a black woman's hair, you know what I mean? Or any black people's hair. That's something that I'm sure you guys know. That's a third rail. You don't, that's why Will Smith, Chris Rock got his shit rocked. You know what I mean? Because that's a third rail. You don't touch that. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of, there's third rails in every community. Everybody's got one, you know? And so I just, you know, I got into not an argument, but a debate with my fiance about abortion the other day. Because I was saying something of, oh, this bill passed in Oklahoma or whatever, and she was just like, she got all upset, and we talked for about 2 hours about it, and eventually she realized I was right, but we both agreed that it's not up to me to decide those things or to talk about it, but I can show you the facts of what I mean. And I mean, same goes with BLM, the whole George Floyd thing, all these hot Kyle Rittenhouse, like, yeah, I have an opinion, but I'm not going to, what's the point of getting into it with you guys when that's not going to be productive, right? If we want to someday, we can. I'd love to, but that's not what this is about. And And Wayne, I appreciate you guys too, because y'all are taking the time to get to know me a little bit, and as much as I'm taking the time to get to know you, and that's super important, because if I was an asshole, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Like, if y'all were assholes, I wouldn't give you the time of day.
Hell no.
That's just how it goes. We're all trying to, be friends. I mean, there's people, you don't have to talk to everybody, you don't have to listen to everybody, but if you want to get to know somebody and their perspective, you got to talk to them. You got to actually talk to them and, have that conversation, have some disagreements, and have some discourse. And this has been one of the best podcasts I've done in a really long time, just because it's new for me. It's different for me. You know what I mean?
It's brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to get you guys on with some of my other podcasts. They would love to talk to you guys. Some of them might go a little hard on you.
Speaking of which, you did let me go back and find it. You did an episode with the Mad Hatter, the alchemical state of mind. Dude, that was such a beautiful episode, man. That was such a great episode, man.
That guy
is so inspirational.
He's beyond knowledge, dude. He's just he's young. He's not that old. He is wise. I don't know how he got to where he's at, but he gets it. He gets it. You know what I mean? I fucking bought a crystal after that, dude. I'm not wearing it right now, but shit, man, he had some points to make about a lot of shit, and it's crazy, man. Crazy. The whole sovereignty thing, like the maritime, that's something I want to get into more with someone like an expert, like a lawyer or something, like maritime law, and like how all our shit is based on like sea law and common law, and like it goes back to like words, right? Like we're manipulated by like the words in these documents that say, oh, because your name's capitalized, you are a employee of the United States, right? But if it's not capitalized, then you're you, right? Crazy shit. Crazy. Thank you. That was one of my favorite episodes. And check, if y'all are going to listen to a podcast, any new listeners that come from y'all show, check that one out. I think it's episode 54. So I do.
Wayne, post it in the comments, please.
Yeah. So my episodes are
episode 52. Yeah,
52. So I don't know. I number my interviews as episode numbers, but then I'll do like a swap cast or a guest appearance or a beer review. I don't call those episode numbers. Those are just more extra content. So it's like, I don't know what number it is in the feed, but it's episode number 52. The alchemical state of mind with the Mad Hatter, and I should connect you guys with him. He loves to come and do podcasts, so that'd be really fun.
Because we did a podcast said, do you believe in crystals? And we just talked about like, because that's a big thing in our community is like sage and incense. We usually use incense to cover up weed, but you know what I mean? But like, I have a whole altar in my house. So, I have sage and I have, crystals, and I have salt to like stop evil spirits from coming in my house and all types of shit. Does any of that shit work? I don't know. But I know everything copacetic up in here. But like you said, mentally, I do believe that does help. So, all right, let me read some of these comments.
Yeah, let's read some of the comments.
Okay, so, all right, let me just go up. So, yeah, we talked about that. Go ahead and do another episode about BLM, because I feel like we just need to talk about it, because there's a lot going on with those motherfuckers, and I don't know what the hell's up. And then Dante said he agreed. Yeah, hold on.
I'm sorry, my opinion. Wayne. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So Dante said he agreed with Wayne. I don't know what he's talking about. That's a while ago. Sorry, man.
No, it was with nice. Reparations. It was reparations, and if we to get it, what would happen?
Cash App. Y'all know you can buy Bitcoin off Cash App now.
Yeah.
That shit gonna be like $100 million. People gonna have a bunch of Bitcoin on Cash App if we get reparations, and I'll probably be right with them. All right. So he said, 100% true. Thanks for joining the podcast. Make sure you hit the like button. Everyone that's on here, make sure you hit the like button so you can push it to the algorithm and all that crap. He says he lives in West Texas, so he's historically Mexican.
No,
okay.
I'm historically like Irish and Italian. So.
Okay.
But American, I identify as American, dude. I don't identify with any of that other shit. I'm American.
Right. I'm with you on that, brother. So now this is getting a little personal, but I appreciate the love and the compliments. But this is not the first time this has happened, and I don't know what's going on, but I think it's the circle light. I'm gonna skip down. I'm just gonna say thanks.
Hey, no. Hey, now we have an episode. We have an episode on our podcast. You feel me? Podcast called Black Men Need Compliments. We don't know how to accept compliments well. Y'all go listen to that episode.
That's a man thing too. It's not just a black man thing.
Yeah.
I try really. I feel weird giving compliments to dudes. But you got to do, because it feels good, man. Like even if you're like your girl says like, hey, you look really cute today, or like whatever, like that's hard for us to take because we're like, fuck it, you know, we're just grumpy.
Yeah, we think I look soft. What you talking about?
Yeah,
that's my problem.
I can tell you when.
Like I saw a dude wearing a suit one day. I was driving, leaving work, and he was in the parking lot, like fucking like looking fresh and slick. And I rolled down my window. He probably thought I was a fag. I was like, hey, I said, "You're looking fresh, dude." And he goes, "What did you say to me?" And I said, I don't think he heard me. He probably said he looked like a bitch. But I said, "You look great, dude. That's a great suit." And he goes, "Oh, thanks." And then kept walking. So like, it's hard to give compliments and accept them as a man. But I'll stop talking.
Yeah.
No, this is yo, scratch that comment there. This is an episode that this is for you because this is what you're an expert on, and these are the questions that we have. And since you are the only person that we know,
I do talk too much on my pod. Dude,
no.
That's the podcast is to speak. If you sitting there like I'm gonna say 2 words, then your shit is gonna be bad. So, and we know there's podcasts out there. This motherfucker's talking to himself in a wall, and we don't know what's going on. So
y'all got a great dynamic too, which is I think that's what makes your show so great. Is that y'all have a great dynamic. You don't get upset when one interrupts or when because it's all constructive, right? Like if you're interrupting, it's for a good reason, right? So y'all have a great dynamic. I used to have a co-host. I don't anymore. But a good co-host, 2 good hosts of a show can make the show no matter what they talk about. It's just that dynamic that y'all got. So keep that up. That's great.
Thanks, man. We have different political opinions. We have different opinions about music. I actually make music. Wayne is a fan of music. His favorite rapper is Eminem. Mine's Kendrick Lamar. It's just very different, but I respect him more than I respect most humans. You know what I mean? I'm saying that like a reptile, but you know what I mean.
That's your brother, man. I got people like that in my life, like beyond family. You know what I mean? That like I will, take a bullet for quite literally. That because you connect on that level. That's a real friend right there. So I'm happy.
And give a bullet too. So either way,
I love you enough to shoot you, motherfucker.
Right? To blow your head off. All right. So Dante said, "Bro, I don't know what that was about, but." When no. Thanks, Dante, for commenting. Appreciate it. Count your sperm. That's my favorite comment. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave a star on that one. And he said, yeah, he loved y'all, and he told Kyle be quiet. So, but no, he's a guest, 100% true. But we really appreciate you having on the show. Wayne, go ahead, broski.
What are we gonna continue on to a couple more topics, or are we gonna wrap it up? How are we gonna do?
You got some more stuff? Yeah,
I would like a couple of more. We have a little fun with. I wanted to talk about either Michael Jordan or the Titanic.
Ooh, okay. I only know Michael Jordan from Space Jam. I'm a little younger, you know what I mean? So Michael Jordan, Space Jam, cool shit, loved it. Looney Tunes, all that stuff. So I'll do a Titanic. I know a little bit more about that. What do you want to know?
So this is my favorite conspiracy theory, right? This is my favorite one.
Really?
So okay. I heard that the Titanic, the one that sank, was not the Titanic, but it was his sister ship, the Olympic.
Okay.
Right. And I heard that the original Titanic was let me think if I'm getting that right. The original Titanic that was unsinkable. Something happened where it crashed up against something. And so what they had to do was they switched the Titanic to the Olympic. They switched like all the signs. They did a quick repaint and everything on the Olympic. So when it hit the iceberg, the Titanic that went down was actually the Olympic, not the real Titanic that was unsinkable. Have you ever heard that before?
I've heard that theory. I think there is something to that. We know that it's called the old switcheroo, right? The old switcheroo that happens a lot, right? So that I don't. That's not the theory that I'm super familiar with. I could see that though. That sounds like something they would do because, like, fuck, we already sold.
Be right back, guys.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. We already sold all the tickets. We already, people are packing their bags. We got to do something quick, right? So that happens, right? But the theory that I'm more onto is that who was on the boat?
Yes.
And
JP Morgan Chase.
Yeah, JP Morgan was not on the boat. He actually pulled out like the day before. And then what happened during that boat ride and on land, what happened on land during the ride and what happened immediately after. So immediately after was the people there were some people who were on the boat, a group of people. These all elites, I mean, the whole Titanic story, that kid was poor and he snuck on the boat, right? But the boat was for a bunch of elite people, right? Bankers, businessmen, politicians, right? And the people on that boat were coming to America to actually fight against the creation of the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve banking system that we use to this day. And so I think it was a hit job. I think there were bombs planted on the Titanic. I don't think they hit an iceberg. They might have hit an iceberg, but I think there were bombs placed there in order to prevent these people from stopping the creation of the Federal Reserve banking system.
Wow.
So love this. Think this is great. This is awesome. This is one of my favorites now.
Yeah.
The whole, just take away the Titanic, the whole creation of the Federal Reserve is a sketchy ass story. It's like the most backroom deals that's ever happened on Christmas Eve on an island when it fucking got written and signed by the president. I think it was who was it?
Eisenhower.
It was the first Roosevelt, I believe. This was in like 1915 or something like that. This was in the early 1900s. So, but yeah, I think I always have like a kind of if I always say if there's a movie made about a historic event, it's probably bullshit, right? So Titanic, right? Biggest movie of all time at the time. Made it a love story, made you feel bad for all the people and musicians playing and stuff, to kind of cover for the fact that it was a fucking hit job on a bunch of people who were gonna disagree with the creation of the Federal Reserve, right? Same thing with the Facebook movie, the social network.
Social network.
I like that. That is not how that went down. It's a great movie, right? That is not how Facebook was created, not at all, even close, right? And so I'm just saying, if there's a movie about it, they're probably lying to you about something, right? Hollywood is historically funded by the propaganda machine. I mean, they're funded by the government. They're funded by the Chinese government. It's all agenda pushing. So, but as far as the Titanic goes, I think that it was a hit job. Yeah,
I can agree that was a hit job, and I mean it's possible that could have been because the Federal Reserve is not even part of the government, and most of us think that it is.
Yeah, just because it's federal
separate organization.
Federal Express. It's as federal as.
Yeah, it's just a name. It's a dope name though. If you want to pass some shit along, that's a smart way to go. I'm gonna name it the Federal Reserve.
Same with the IRS. The IRS is not they're funded by the federal government, but they are not a federal agency. They're a private institution.
Yeah, and that's why they send out their own like private communications and shit like that. The government don't do that. It has to be a lot of stuff before they can send a document to you. I got a letter from President Trump for we got our first. Everyone got it for getting our first stimulus check, and like everyone got that letter. But like from what I heard, it took like. Maybe not with Trump because he was doing whatever the fuck he wanted to do. He didn't care about really anything. Right. But usually it takes like
send the letters. I don't care what it takes.
Just send the letters. Hey, vote for me. I don't give a fuck.
Stamps are cheap. We can do it. Right. We can afford the stamps. Send it. Post office. It's the greatest thing.
It's a write-off. Send it from the Trump Tower. Go ahead. So, exactly. But it takes usually like thousands of people just to go through all those letters to send it out. So that's how the IRS, they send shit constantly. So they're not really like a true organization of the government.
Right.
So I think, but the switcheroo of the ship, I think that, and y'all let me know I'm wrong because I don't know about building ships, but don't they build ships like at the place that they like board? At the docks,
they build them usually a dry dock, right? So that's like it's close to the water. They drain it out, and that's where they build the ship. And then when the ship's ready to go to sea, they fill it up with water, and it can float out. But a dock is like where people hop on. Is not where they build it. It's different.
So that means that could have did what Wayne said. They could have made two.
Absolutely, and maybe they couldn't get bombs on the actual Titanic. So these theories are not mutually exclusive, right? They both can be true. But I, regardless of which one, I think one blew up. One had bombs planted. But I could see the switcheroo happening. I think that because there was a sister ship. I think you're right. It was called the Olympia or the Olympic or something like that. Yeah, I think that's 100%. I haven't done a lot of research on that. I should probably go look into that a little bit after this. But yeah, the fact. Well, what's more surprising is that that's your favorite conspiracy. I think that's
Yeah.
out of all of the conspiracies, that one.
Right.
What?
Well, I don't know a whole bunch. I don't know a whole lot, and I don't know. I guess just growing up, I was always intrigued with those stories. When I was younger, I just used to, you give me a story like that, and I just like read so much on it. So it's Titanic. I believe that in the Loch Ness monster, like things
really?
like that. Yeah, like things like that. I just absolutely used to love as a child.
Bigfoot? You into Bigfoot?
Not so much. Not so much. I don't disagree or agree with them.
I don't go squashing on the weekend.
No, man. No, I don't know what people. You know what? If he is real, I really wish people would just leave him alone. Stop trying to look for him.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when you meet these people? I feel the same way about aliens. I remember growing up, my mom would always be, if I ever met a ghost or something, I would tell them to sit down. Let me talk to you. Let me figure things. Let me. I'm like, for what? Like, what are you gonna say to a ghost? Like, leave these people alone, So I don't know. It's just one of those stories that intrigued me when I was coming.
Good way to look at things, for sure. That's a great way to look at things. I mean, what else you got? We can talk about ghosts and paranormal, but what else you got? You got another question? Another conspiracy you want to get on?
Conspiracy. I don't know, man. I say this? Do you believe in aliens? Because here's my thing, and I want you to answer this question for me, because I don't know if I believe in aliens or not. But here's my reasoning why. My thing is, I'm more of a see it to believe it kind of person, and I say that, but I don't ever want to see an alien. I don't ever want to see an alien. So by that logic, doesn't that mean that I believe?
Okay, that's a yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like same thing like with atheists, right? Like the whole point of being an atheist is like, oh, I'm against God or whatever it may be. So I can kind of, that logic makes sense. But maybe the fact that you've not seen a UFO is because you don't want to. They tend to show themselves or be seen by people who have an inkling or have a slight, who do believe in them. Much like people who, see ghosts, they believe in ghosts. You know what I mean? It's kind of like opening yourself up to the possibilities, right? Like opening your mind. Like, you can't share truth with somebody who doesn't want to hear it, right? So if someone's open to it, you can they might be seeing things like that. Same with Bigfoot, with aliens. So you asked if I believe in aliens. I believe there's something else out there.
Yeah, there has to be.
Like I said, I don't even know if space is real. So I kind of lean towards the interdimensional side of aliens. I think that they perhaps exist on a different plane than us. And I think that's kind of where like ghosts and demons and angels all come into, is that they're just we're all here. Like there could be a ghost sitting right next to me, but they're on a different vibration level, perhaps in a different time even. And sometimes whether through meditation or high energy frequencies or drugs, you can kind of bridge that gap between frequencies and dimensions. And that's where, perhaps you see a ghost or an alien or a UFO or whatever, or, you had an abduction experience, whatever that may be. And but I think like UFOs, I think 95% of the UFO sightings that happen now, like the current ones, are U.S. military technology. I believe I believe we have anti-grav technology. I believe we have invisibility technology. Why wouldn't we? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't we? The military is so much more advanced. I mean, they had iPhones in the 70s. I mean, it's crazy. They're so much more advanced. Like we get like the old shit. You know what I mean? Like, we can sell this to people in 20 years. So let's hang on to it, throw it in the closet. Whenever the time comes, we'll make a bunch of them and sell them and be like, look how great this is. But I think technology is even in the consumer market, technology is going so fast, right? So imagine what the governments and the military has.
Right, exactly.
So aliens,
I do believe that like a lot of the like militarized weapons are so advanced with the military. When we do get them, or when we get any type of like version of it, it comes from people that were in the military around it. They're creating it, they fucking own it, they're selling it. And then you see how much shit gets banned. Like bump stocks got banned. They're banning switches. You know what a switch is? It's like, you know, that's a federal offense now to get caught with that shit.
Yeah.
And that's been in the military. They've had that since Vietnam, probably before that.
Much fire, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, but in terms of aliens, you guys talk about aliens. Sorry, I lost my audio for a little bit. That is, to me, not a conspiracy.
Oh, well, you think they're among us? You think they're
Yeah. I don't think it's, I mean, even if they're amoebas, right? Little small little things, or just spacecrafts. It's too many motherfuckers in this world. Like, yo, I seen a spacecraft from all over the world.
Even if you break it down, like if you believe in the vastness of the universe and all these planets and things, even mathematically, there has to be other life out there. Like statistically, there has to be something else out there. If you believe in that stuff, me personally, I don't know. I don't know if space and all that shit is real. Right. But you're right. Even if you look at the numbers on the people who have seen it, in 2020, the fucking government, when COVID was going on, George Floyd, all that stuff, they came out and they just slipped it in the fucking news. Yeah, we've been studying these UFOs for a long time.
We don't know what it is.
Right. We don't. I think they do, but I think they're just like, yeah, there's, they're real.
That was the one thing that I will always, no matter what anybody else say about Trump, I will always give him that because he said
Space Force.
He said we will not allow for the stimulus check to get released unless we slip into this stupid ass bill that they have to start releasing information about aliens. That's the one thing I would give
too, and they shut him down on the JFK files too.
There's just too many videos of people flying around in their own planes and shit. Like, yo, I just saw some shit fly past me. Oh, come on, man. We know,
but it's always in the, but it's always in the same area. It's always like in the podunk countries, the podunk towns. It's always in the
not the military videos.
Fields. No, I'm talking about just seeing the UFO.
It's remote. It's remote.
Yeah,
shit.
You know,
they got videos that happened in what's it called, the lights over San Francisco. That was an actual event that happened.
It was the Santa Fe lights too in the 90s.
Yeah.
The Santa Fe lights. I mean, I actually had a guy. You know what MUFON is? The Mutual UFO Network. They've been around since like the 70s. They're a nonprofit organization that actually documents and investigates UFO sightings. They're pretty legit. Like they have all the like Ancient Aliens has MUFON guys on, and all those alien shows. It's like often has MUFON people on there.
They got the guy with the hair on there.
I don't think MUFON, but yeah, he probably knows them. But
I had that guy.
Oh, I love him too, George Apandopoulos. I don't know.
Yeah,
Greek motherfucker. But but I had a guy, a field investigator from MUFON, come on my show a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, because I was curious about that, Wayne, too. I said, oftentimes in rural places is where you get the most UFO sightings. And he goes, that's not true, because he actually has he had the fucking data right there. He works in it every day. He said most of the sightings that are reported are in major population centers, but they're oftentimes debunkable. Like we can have an explanation for them. You know what I mean? But he said that the most interesting sightings take place in rural places, kind of away from major population centers, so that's part of it as well. So it's you're right, but I think that they're often cited around military stations, military bases. There's been multiple accounts of them flying over nuclear launch sites and actually deactivating all of the warheads for a period of time. That's happened multiple times in multiple countries around the world. So I don't know. Are they sending a message, or are they us from the future, or are they a breakaway civilization? That's something that's fascinating too. Is like some of these motherfuckers got this technology and said, "See ya," and they went off and doing their own thing and in the underground bases or on the moon or whatever. So I don't know.
Yes, some people think the Greys are from the future. I believe it's the Greys. They're from the future. They come back and they're trying to warn us about what we're doing because their society is so messed up that they can't reproduce anymore. So they're trying to subtly like convince us. Because imagine if aliens just went to the White House and just was on TV and was like, "Yo, we from the future. Y'all fucked it up. Yeah, can y'all fix this? And this is what y'all need to do. Everybody need to get along." People probably start a war in the streets. But just for saying that, it would shock us. like that movie about the linguistic lady that went and talked to the aliens. They
Yeah,
were from the future.
I can't remember what it's called. Contact. Yeah.
I think it was it won an Oscar or something like that.
Yeah, it was where she does the symbols and things.
Yeah,
like
yeah, and it was all from the future. Yeah, I love that movie because they were from the future. And it was like, look, there's going to be a great war that comes. You need to have the military weapons to be prepared to prepare your people.
Or Arrival. It may have been Arrival. Arrival was more recent. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Let's go to the comments, man. Wayne, you mind reading the comments?
No, not at all. We got a new commenter on here by the name of Hillbilly.
I love the name, by the way.
Really. He says, going back to the Titanic, the Titanic was sank to get central banking. Those highly against central banking were on board. Those for central banking canceled just before departure. And that's kind of what Kyle was saying too.
Yep.
Yeah. And the Hillbilly he said, we are the aliens. And I agree with him on that one, you know?
Not a lot of shit that looks like us in the world.
Yeah.
Like you might have some apes and shit, but you know, they eating bananas sticking out their ass. They not like advanced like us. We can create mathematics.
Have you been on OnlyFans, dude? People sticking shit, all kinds of shit up their ass.
I haven't been on there. I ain't paying nobody for nothing I can find free on Pornhub.
I wish there was like a free trial or some shit you can go on there. I would definitely take a free trial.
I have friends that have OnlyFans, and that's still $5.
You want to check it out? You want to check it out?
I'm not paying $5 though. Go ahead, Wayne.
But Hillbilly also said aliens spliced their DNA with Earth-based life. Thus, we are the aliens. And he said, even in religion, God used anesthesia and cloned Eve.
Good point. That's true. Took a piece of Adam and made with other elements, made woman. Yeah.
And God likes aliens, comes to Earth from the heavens or outer space.
Oh, so God like aliens. Okay, so God is like he's
like
God and aliens. Right. That makes sense. That's where the whole Anunnaki thing comes from, you know.
Exactly. And I love the fact that back to, I know we were talking about like the space race and all of that stuff, but to the space race, when we went into space, I'm so surprised that it didn't have like religious people say, wait, did they see God?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that stop our belief in God? Because God was always seen about being in the heavens, but we just went past the heavens. So
yeah, or even farther than that. Maybe we didn't even get close.
Right. So you know, it's just like, did that not deter people from going to church? But it made people more believe in America. That's the reason why that's the one that I don't want to be disproven. Because
it hurts, dude. It hurts. You go through these phases, right? So let's say tomorrow you take the red pill, right? You're gonna start super curious. You're gonna be seeing all this stuff. Oh my God, whoa. And then very quickly you're gonna take what's called the black pill, and that is, oh my God, shit is so fucked up. There's no point where it's hopeless. These fucking people are just they don't care about us. We're all gonna die, right? And then if you can get past that, you come to what's called the white pill, which is like, oh no, there is hope. We are powerful beings. We can come together. We can actually overcome this and have a better world, right? So you kind of go through these stages once you start getting into this stuff, and it's really hard to get out of that black pill phase because you're like, the more you learn, you're just like, oh my God, this is so terrible what they've done, what they are doing, what their plans are for us. And so you can get past it though. You really can. But every now and then you'll like 1 week you'll be black pilled and you'll be like, fuck it, we're all gonna die. And then the next week you'll be like, no, we need to have some hope. But and then there's the orange pill, which is Bitcoin. Just buy Bitcoin, that'll solve all your problems. Not the case.
Be careful with that, y'all. Be careful with that Bitcoin shit. We are not financial advisors.
So all right, Kyle, I have just one more question. And this question is kind of for the culture, right? So we're allowing you into the fold for a little bit, okay? I want to know I want to ask you this. Who do you think killed Tupac and Biggie?
Oh man,
that's a good conspiracy.
There's some who say that they're still alive.
Yes, exactly.
There's some, I don't, even so, I don't know if y'all watch Rogan, but recently he had Snoop Dogg on.
Yeah,
and he talked to Snoop Dogg about that whole West Coast, East Coast feud that went on throughout the whole, the creation of gangster rap, right? And he said it was all media it was all bullshit. Like he said, it was just there to sell records. We all loved each other, all this stuff. So it really makes no sense that there was beef between Tupac and Biggie and whoever killed them, right? It just didn't make sense because Tupac wasn't a real, gangster. He rapped about certain things. He was more of a conscious rapper, but he wasn't, slinging guns and sling, I'm sure he had guns and drugs, but it's not like that's what his lifestyle was, right? So I think he probably just saw the writing on the wall and maybe faked his own death. I think the same happened with Michael Jackson, but also, I mean, we can get a little more contemporary. Maybe Will Smith was like, that bitch is mine, and he fucking Will Smith. So that's something else. But so real quick, this is something, if I'm speaking to the culture, as you say, I want you guys to look into what's called the Boule Society, right? Have y'all ever heard of this?
Yeah.
It is to keep it simple, it's the Black Secret Societies. It's the Black Freemasons, right? And it is one of the most intense, deep topics I've ever been on. And it'll make it. Hopefully, it'll make more sense to you because you're in it, and you can probably understand the interactions of it better. But dude, the Boule Secret Society, it's Boule, I believe, and it made a lot of sense to me when I looked into it. As I know we're wrapping it up here, but that's just something, if I had to say, if you have questions about the state of Black culture, the state of kind of these things, right? Why does Jay-Z have all this power amongst the community, all these things, right? Look into the Boule Society. It'll blow your mind. And when you do, I want you to let me know and we'll talk about it. It's super fascinating and it's kind of scary.
So we have two topics to talk about. We're going to talk about BLM and we're going to talk about the Boule. Because the Boule Society can be seen as extremely racist.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes a lot of sense.
Right. And just like with BLM, I'm gonna let you guys do your own research on that. I can send you a few links or something if you're curious.
Please.
But that's something that I'm not gonna talk on. You know what I mean? Just because it is intense. It's super intense. And so I think you guys should do your research on it. I think it'll blow your minds, and then we can talk about it together. But I don't want to just hit you with stuff as a little white dude and be like, this is why your culture's this way. Because no, you guys need to look into it and figure it out for yourselves, because it will give you a new perspective on things. You might feel like, man, we got the short end of the stick on this one, or it might it just might make some sense. It might explain some things that have happened historically. So look into that. But gentlemen, thank you for having me on. This was a great fucking show. I mean, I haven't rocked this hard in a while. So this was fun.
Thank you for coming on. This was incredible, bro.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Before you go, let's read the rest of the comments from Hillbilly. He said the industry is covering its tracks. Yeah, about the Tupac and Biggie thing. Mm-hmm. I believe Tupac was killed because of an incident that he had in Vegas. But I also believe that person said that, he killed him. But that doesn't mean that police wasn't involved. It wasn't about, a lot of things that Tupac had that was coming that he wanted to do. They eliminated him before that. And Biggie, I don't know what happened with Biggie, but that was maybe it was a rival gang mad, because y'all know Tupac to a lot of people was like Jesus Christ. So, and that the media fed that's what happened. So I don't know. But last comment here, it said Black Culture Day is the hillbilly culture of yesteryear.
Think about that. Think about it. Think about it.
When I think hillbilly, I think the ones that went to Hollywood. I know that's stupid, but what is it called? Hollywood Hillbillies? But that's the show?
Beverly Hillbillies.
Thank you, the Beverly Hillbillies. But if you think about it, I don't know. We're going to think about it. We're going to think about it.
I don't know why Hillbilly dropped us that one like that.
Damn. Like I didn't have enough to research, right? Damn.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it, Hillbilly. I'm sorry I had a comment.
For all your listeners out there, thank you guys for having me on and for having this conversation. And hopefully I changed your mind a little bit about some conspiracies and opened you up to some new possibilities. And if any listeners out there, y'all liked this, check out the Big Dumb Podcast. I have tons of other great podcasters that do much better work than I do, but you can start here with me and I can show you where to go from there. And I always have a good time too. So it's not always super serious. It's not always dark. Try to keep it light. Try to have some fun with it. And thank you guys again for having me on. This was great.
I put the link for the Big Dumb Podcast right there on the comments, man. I'm also going to tag it to this video. Of course, follow him also on Instagram. It's at the Big Dumb Podcast, correct?
It's at the Big Dumb _podcast. And I put my link tree in the comments a little farther up. And then as well, I'm going to release the audio of this on my podcast feed. So I'll be sure any links you guys want me to have, just text them to me on Instagram. I'll throw them in the description, because I think my listeners are going to love this podcast as well. I think they're going to they're going to learn something. You know what I mean? It's always great to get a new perspective. And especially I love getting asked questions that I'm like, oh, I could, because y'all hit me with some softballs. I'm not going to lie. I felt like I handled some of those pretty well. So
no, I mean, the conspiracy theorists, and I hate saying that. I don't know. It's not a derogatory term, but no,
we embrace it.
That's good. That is the best community probably in podcast world. Straight up. You know, you got your crazies, right? But you also got people that want to explain and understand the truth so they can spread the information to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get that from other places. You just don't, you know. So please like this video. Please subscribe. Check out the Big Dumb Podcast episodes, because they are cool and they're fun and they're funny and they also informative. And also, of course, like and subscribe to the You Feel Me podcast, because we love y'all. And if you don't come to your house, you already know how we get down. So Wayne, Kyle, me, y'all want to go ahead and say peace to the people, man? We out of here.
Yeah, great show, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
man.
Cal,
Appreciate
thank you so much
everybody.
again, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.